The season of 9 rounds so far has proven to be some of the most brilliant racing that you have ever seen in your life. But now, there is just one last bastion of hope for a handful of drivers to get inside this top 10. Your favourites? Well, some of them have already secured their seats. Others, they've already fallen by the wayside. But for those still here in round 10, still with a shot at getting one of 10 lucky transfer spots to the World Championship Grand Prix Series, well, what can I say? The Nürburgring is your home. This is round 10, the final round of the iRacing Road to Pro Series on iRacing Live and RaceSpotTV in just 1 moment's time. The last chance saloon then. How many gunslingers are going to have their final bullets when they come to this race? Qualifying is currently underway then from the circuit that is known as the Green Hell. 5.15 kilometers, 16 turns. It's not full Nordschleife today. It is Grand Prix circuit. We're at the Nürburgring for what will be a showdown finale here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. Round 10, the final round of the Road to Pro, is coming to a dramatic conclusion. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am hashtag do you mind Jake Sperry, joined in the commentary booth with Mr. Connery Maddock, Mr. Jonathan Simone. Qualifying underway. Currently Sebastian Job is blitzing the field on a 129 point flat as things stands, Connery, and well, he's trying to gun for what is 4 race victories this season. Alex Simpson fractionally just gets himself into second.
Yeah, exactly. Only 6 thousandths of a second separating Alex Simpson from Max Lochner and Sebastian Job. That is going to be his only lap time. That is going to be a set because he had to abort his second lap. Good amount of drivers still waiting to come across the line for their first qualifying times. We've got the likes of Victor Prieto out there on track. Diego Oliveira, and this is someone we're going to be talking about all throughout this race. He is right on the cusp of gaining a World Championship Grand Prix Series license. He needs a fantastic race here today to get himself inside.
He is currently stood as 90 points off of being in a WCS seat. He needs 8 positions on the driver known as Zoran Jondic, who currently aptly starts in position number 8 as things stands. Here's Oliveira, though, into the long left-hander, looking now for the Warsteiner curve here. This right-hander looking to just get that power down, make sure it works in his favor. Then you have this small kink right of Ad Van Bogen. You make the run up towards this fantastic tight chicane, NGK, and into the left, right, you slow it right down 105 kilometers an hour for getting back up onto the power before you head into this final right-hander known as Coca-Cola curve. You make this run to the line, and we'll see what this first lap time does, Johnny, for Oliveira. He comes across the start-finish line, 29.6, perfect, position 3.
And a great lap time there from Diogo, as you say. Now, this session's pretty difficult. Cold weather, track temps only 19 degrees Celsius, because I was having one eye on Michael Dinkel during the session, and he was all over the place in his lap. And only 2/10 off pole position from Sebastian Job. So let's see if Diogo can improve, because he has another lap in his hands.
Yeah, and another driver with a lap in his hands. Not safe is Ricardo Orozco. He has to be worried about 2 drivers today. One is Diego Oliveira. The other is Michael Partington. ERT, for all their issues, are outside of the top 10. No drivers right now currently scored for a WCS license, despite the fact 13 of their drivers have a Blancpain Pro Series license. But Orozco now currently stood in what is going to be position number 7 on the grid. Would like to make life a little bit easier for him. Put himself up there ahead of his teammate Tommy Østergaard, ahead of Moritz Lohner, maybe even up there challenging Diogo Oliveira. He needs something right now, does the Brazilian in the 68 machine. This is his last chance to set a lap time. He crosses the line and does a 29.5. That's good enough for 3rd position. And you're seeing, though, that he's still half a second off of pole right now, Connery.
regardless, it is still a brilliant lap for Ricardo Orozco. It's just that Sebastian Job at the top of the field just pretty much outclassing everyone apart from Michael Dingle there being 0.2 of a second behind. We've still got to wait for Tommy Østergaard to get another lap on the board as well as the likes of David Williams to get himself done another lap as well.
Yep, and we need to keep an eye, though, on the 05 machine. Alex Simpson, no Rasmussen, no Rogers. That's what we were expecting. That's what we've got. Alex Simpson is going for what is the championship crown, being the Road to Pro champion, and it's been surprising seeing just how consistent he's been. He hasn't won a race all season, but this could be one of those great drives where you don't need to win to be the winner overall. Into NGK, he comes along, currently position 5 in the championship. He'll be doing everything to help Michael Dingle out, who is currently second as things stands. Drive to the line then for the championship leader. He crosses it. He does a 29.645. He improves, but not in position. Very, very crucial when it gets right down to it. Tommy Østergaard will look to start a final lap. But Johnny, what is the major challenge as I look at David Williams now heading out of the Mercedes-Benz arena for this middle part of the lap?
Here's where it becomes so narrow. You have to run out deep here, but don't worry about the exit. It's all about the entrance speed. Camber through these corners really helps ease the car in, but you can see Williams has missed the apex a couple of times. I remember Lewis Hamilton was commentating a lap here, and he went for a double apex at this long Dunlop curve. There we go, out of the exit for Williams, uphill. It's easy to scrub off speed here. You don't want to do that. Williams gets on the curb on the outside. This is a very scruffy lap. The cold weather is really... It's not helping these drivers at all, Jake, in this session. It's making these laps just ultra violent. The car's not going to be planted onto the tarmac as much. It doesn't feel like you're driving with chewing gum on those tires. It feels like it's sliding all over the place like ice.
Well, it's very clear then that Coanda are seeming to struggle when it comes to these cold conditions, because Williams is nowhere when he's been right up there in the last 2 qualifying sessions that we've had at Imola and at at the circuit of Indianapolis. Sorry, crossed the line, 29.7. He does improve. He takes the position of Michael Partington. Very crucial. Oliveira's last chance saloon then. He gets himself then over the line. 29.5 is the time he wants to beat. He does a 29.4. He moves up 1 more position. Crucial for what he needs. Bobby Zelensky, though, he's going to make his drive to the line, and he hasn't set a lap time yet. He does not want to start at the back with the likes of T. Beecham and Francisco Diaz. He will cross the line on his last chance. He does a 1:30.0. That puts him up just behind Michael Partington, and that was the big worry that was always going to be there. Østergaard 29.5 improves as well, Connery. He moves up onto the 3rd row.
Yeah, brilliant laps coming in late on in the session. Most of your drivers went for a banker lap on that first lap, and once they got that, they went all out for the final laps of the session. And Diego Oliveira, he's pulling out all the stops to try and get himself inside that top 10. A P3 start is absolutely brilliant for his chances.
And that's everybody across the line. 1 split of qualifying as well, so we're going to get it up on your screen now how everything has stood provisionally after qualifying, and well... Sebastian Job has done a fantastic job of qualifying again. The man without a team is there once more. 129.096, having a fantastic showing yet again. Michael Dingle doing everything he needs for the championship with his torn left calf. He is there in 2nd on the grid. Diogo Oliveira will line up for now in 3rd position with Ricardo Orozco alongside. Tommy Østergaard makes it 5th position for Positive Sim Racing 4-5. Alex Simpson will start in 6th. Moritz Lohner and David Williams are 7th and 8th, with Michael Partington getting a decent qualifying, but not ideal in 9th position, ahead of Bobby Zelensky. Manu Domingo and Zoran Jonjic make up row number 6, and you look further down, you see the likes of Nicholas Rasmussen, you see the likes of Victor Prato, who's had 3 back-to-back 14th place finishes, lucky number much. Carl Winkler very far down the order. Kyle Germanton, it's his birthday today, so we will celebrate happy birthday to Kyle Germanton. And then you see the likes of Rene Venderbosch, Diego Jimenez, Stefan Schmidt down the order, and Andrew Adair Saunders, another one. So with that qualifying done, we're going to step aside very briefly. When we come back, qualifying fallout then, here from the circuit of the Nürburgring. And my goodness, are there cats amongst the pigeons?
Red Bull GRCs are now available on iRacing. I personally put my blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, developing the cars, the tracks, the dirt, making sure it is authentic as possible, and I really think you guys are going to love it. The best part is that this 600 horsepower Volkswagen Beetle is free to all members. So get signed up now and come race me online.
The yellow flag is out. Pit road is now open. Keep your eye on those gauges. We'll give you 4 tyres. 3, 2, 1, now. We're done. Get going.
Well, here we go. Fallout from a qualifying that has been somewhat of an interesting one. The more things seem to change here in this series, the more some things do seem to stay the same. Sebastian Job has put in a stunning lap time once again in the early stages of qualifying to put himself right at the top. At the time, he was 0.6 of a second clear. That gap came down over the course of qualifying as the track rubbered in just down to 0.2 of a second, but no matter, 129 flat. Let's get this one up on screen for you. This is the qualifying lap of Sebastian Job, and my goodness, was this a marvel to behold. Well, you see that lap there. Fantastic work from Sebastian Job and Connery. You know, that lap was just so smooth. It was completely on point. And I probably would have to say that that lap alone would be enough to kick a 20-a-day smoking addiction.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, it's going to be... When I was watching that lap, I saw a small under-rotation of the front right coming down into turn number 1. And that's a scary prospect when you think that Sebastian Job could have gone faster on that lap. And that is just insane.
Yeah, I know. He was absolutely sensational when he goes on forward for this.
I'm going to interrupt you here. There's nothing about a smoking addiction that you're allowed to say when I'm in the broadcast. Carry on.
No worries. But anyway, you're looking, Johnny, at what has been a very interesting season. You're looking at what Diogo Oliveira's done. You hinted at it, that it could be too little too late. He needs 8 positions on the driver of Zoran Jonjic. And as things stand in qualifying, if this went the way that it did in the race, that would be absolutely fantastic for Oliveira. He would sneak in at the last opportunity.
You can tell who's practiced for this round because Oliveira, Orozco, they're on the bubble of making it. We know that Oliveira is actually outside the top 10, as you just said, Jake. Orozco's on the brink of actually, you know, if things go well for Diogo, he could actually finish 11th in the championship. So Ricardo knows the pressure's on, whereas, you know, most of the other guys realize, hey, I ain't got too much pressure. I don't need to practice too much. But good to see that Michael Partington's shown up too. He qualifies 9th for the race, and it's going to be a long shot for him. But let's not forget him, Jake, because he's only 30 points behind Diogo. And you look in this round at, I mean, I don't even think we're going to get much points for a victory for whoever claims it, as much as Seb did last round, because normally we've been getting around 320 points for a win. Now, without Rogers, Rasmussen, and all these top drivers showing up, Seb only got 250 points for a win last round. You could be looking at less this round, which makes the job even tougher for Diogo Oliveira.
Exactly, so he needs to work twice as hard to make things happen. And Connery, when it comes to having a point system that does change from race to race, with these last few races bringing less points, that puts arguably more emphasis then on getting up through the field and making sure you keep the vehicle on the island.
Yeah, it does put a lot more pressure on particular drivers to perform well if the points gaps are this small coming into the latter part of the season. But the thing is, Oliveira, he's pretty much done all that he needs to do in qualifying. He's put it onto P number 3. Of course, front row would have been better, but that's a huge ask when you have the likes of Dinkel and Job at the front there. So if he finishes P number 3 and Jonjic has a couple of issues during the race, I think he'll be fine.
I think he may have a very good shot then at getting into qualifying for the WCS. He's just got to be very careful about the way he works. But Johnny, I want to talk Tommy, or you want to talk Tommy actually, because here's a driver who is 4th in the championship, a chance to jump up to 2nd at this event, and has done so without really catching the eye of many people.
Yeah, we discussed this before the broadcast. He's like your San Antonio Spurs or Memphis Grizzlies, just your low-market team, your driver who isn't in the public eye that much, which is ironic because Tommy is, you know, if you look at all his Twitter feed and his website, he's trying to get out there. But in terms of this series, he's been under the radar and he's been underrated, I think, for what he's shown in his performances. Yeah, we know he hasn't claimed a race victory, but he's been ultra consistent. His worst round was at Silverstone. That was used as a drop round. He's never DNF'd from a race this season, but more importantly, he's just been stunning for positive sim racing. So brilliant stuff from him and brilliant stuff for that team to get another car onto the grid, because he's definitely going to make it for sure. And hats off to David Williams, because he's out there. He's qualified in 8th, so he's on that 4th row ahead of this race. He's also a guy that will be in the World Championship, and another name to add to that Coanda juggernaut.
Exactly, and Coanda have been looking better and better as the years have gone on, all the way back from my 3ID era, all the way back through. But Connery, looking at Sebastian Job on pole position, it's been so up and down for him. He's had these fantastic races where he runs away from the field, but yet he also has those races when he's in that scrap, he starts spinning that vehicle, he doesn't finish the race, and that's put him in the situation where he now only really needs to limp over the line. What sort of Sebastian Job do you think we're going to see today?
I think we'll see a lot more conservative Sebastian Job like we saw at Indianapolis, because they pretty much had almost no one around him, so he's able to focus on his race and not be under pressure from anyone around him. And that's one of Sebastian Job's biggest flaws, I feel. He cracks under pressure, but the thing is, he won't have any of this race unless Michael Dinkel can really pull out something.
unless he can pull something out. I'm going to bring Will Vincent into the conversation here because Will, you know, we've seen this season, it's been a massive challenge for a lot of people, and we've seen a lot of contrasting storylines up and down this field, which has led to probably the most fascinating Road to Pro in history. What do you take away from this Road to Pro at this stage?
I think this has been, you're right, it is quite clearly one of the more interesting series that we've seen in the last 4 years of covering it here on RaceSpot. What I will say, and I don't mean to say this in a negative way, there's about 4 or 5 drivers who could easily be podium finishers in the World Championship Series, but we've seen, in my opinion, that it is going to take a lot of work for anyone from this series to finish in the top 5 of next season. And that's not a detriment to these drivers, but having looked at the fact that Joe made a number of unforced errors at the start of the season, and he is, in my opinion, the best pure driver over the course of 1 lap this season. The fact that Freddie, you know, Freddie looks great, but he's not as good, in my opinion, as he is in the LeBlanc Pond series. I think, and this is going to be more controversial than most people will think, I think we've got a number of people that can be podium finishers. I'm not sure if we're going to see a race winner from this year's Pro Series.
Well, that's going to be very interesting. Of course, we didn't actually have a race winner from last season's Pro Series either. Thank you, Martin Kroenke. But for the time being, what we're going to do is we're just going to step back for a couple of moments. When we come back, it is race time. High 2, and it will be the time where everything gets put down, the talking stops, and then the racing will begin. Join us.
Red Bull GR season now available on iRacing. I personally put my blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, developing the cars, the tracks, the dirt, making sure it is authentic as possible, and I really think you guys are going to love it. The best part is that this 600 horsepower Volkswagen Beetle is free to all members. So get signed up now and come race me online.
The yellow flag is out. Pit road is now open. Keep your eye on those gauges. We'll give you 4 tyres. 3, 2, 1, now. We're done. Get going.
A rose by any other name would be just as sweet, but there will be nothing sweeter than getting a WCS seat at the table when you get yourself into a field of the 40 greatest elite sim racers in the world. You know that you will make it. Race time will be what we are all keeping our eyes out on here for on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. The final few moments then before the gridding process steps up. Jake Sperry, Connery Maddock, Jonathan Simone, Will Vincent behind the cameras with special comments. From time to time, the clouds have cleared. It has got sunnier, and that's going to mean that there will be a lot of drivers now having to adapt to the conditions. Track temperature, 34 degrees, wind speeds, 15 kilometers an hour from the south. That will be playing huge havoc here today with crosswinds coming straight across the circuit. Everybody has to be very careful about how this goes on. But let's get ourselves a provisional grid very quickly. Sebastian Job on pole position. Michael Dinkel will be alongside on the front row with Diogo Oliveira and Ricardo Orozco third and fourth. Tommy Erstgaard and Alex Simpson are fifth and sixth. Moritz Lohner and David Williams are seventh and eighth, with Michael Partington and Bobby Zelensky ninth and 10th. The rest of your drivers then are up on your screen right now. It's a 37 car field all the way down to Jonathan Beekoff in the number 35 machine. But we have a minute to grid ourselves up for the final time this season. The final chance to get the perfect start that all these drivers know that they have to have, want to have, and need to have as well. So this is going to be the last opportunity. You look at some drivers, ones like Diogo Oliveira, who have to have fantastic races today. You look at drivers up and down this field who have made mistakes all season that know that if they can just get this one race right, they could be on a plane ticket. They could be on their way to the WCS final. Watch out, though, for what is going to be Michael Dinkel, because when you see Michael Dinkel's starts, they have been nothing short of sensational. Same can be said to Orozco. same could be said to Erstgaard and Simpson as well. PSR and Apex, they're who you look out for on the starts. And David Williams, who went from 5th to 1st at Imola. It's a short run to turn number 1. It's going to favour the drivers on the inside, so Sebastian Job will have to be careful. Lights, though, should come on. Engine notes, then, should rise. The final chance of the season is here. Underway we will go. It's a stunning start from Simpson from the 3rd row. You can see he's already chasing. 2, 3. Oliveira loses 1 position. Job defensive, and round the outside drives Michael Dinkel into 1. He'll take the outside track, looking for the inside at turn number 3, and he'll take it, but not just yet, because Sebastian Job will fight him every single step of the way, looking to equal the amount of race wins in a season at 4 of his former teammate Frederick Rasmussen in through 4, and Sebastian Job still going side by side, holds it off just, keeps the whole shot right now, and everyone 3 wide in the back. Alex Simpson struggling, Connery.
Yeah, and a moment for Ricardo Orozco, P number 3 as well, coming down into turn number 6, but he manages to gather it up, and we're all single file all the way back to the bottom end of your top 10 now as they try to sort their orders out. A little bit of a move up front, though. This is going to be Diego Oliveira getting past Ricardo Orozco here on Oliveira, back up into P number 3 after losing that position on the start.
Fantastic work then from Oliveira. He gets back into the position he needs to. If things stay like this, Oliveira is in the WCS. Soren Jonjic is out as Orozco went brave on the brakes, then he couldn't make it happen. Checks up Erstgaard into Moritz Lohner. Lohner now will get the opportunity wide though through Vorsteiner. Goes the driver, Tommy Erstgaard. Thank you very much, says one driver. And look at this from Partington. He's taking no prisoners today. He's got to risk it. 3 wide they go down to NGK, and there's contact with Moritz Lohner. Lohner takes the escape road, and that was Partington being too aggressive, Johnny.
He needed to be aggressive, though. Lohner's also got a slow-down penalty, so Partington there at fault. Now he's going to be hounded by the rest of the field behind, swamped by the rest of the field as now another Apex car comes past. And that's Alex Simpson, who's trying to recover from his very good start to very bad start as the first lap progressed.
Oh, no, huge contact from Lohner. Up and around everybody goes. And Lohner completely missed his braking point, completely taking out the driver. And mind you, Raikkonen almost taking out Button. And that was the driver, I believe, of Manu Domingo that he got caught up in that one. No, I'll correct myself again, because that was Alex Bergeron in the ERT machine that was collected. Massive, massive contact, Connery.
Absolutely huge. It's one of the biggest incidents I've ever seen coming down into there. And as you said, it was just a catastrophic loss of the braking zone there for Moritz Lohner. I'm not sure exactly what he was thinking there. It's just the race got to him, the pressure got to him, and you end up making mistakes like that.
Where, though, is the driver of Zoran Jonjic? That's the big question point that we are looking at. Jonjic was taken out by Jan Brezina, the positive sim racing driver, in the final corner. So for the driver now of Zoran Jonjic, he's down all the way in position number 30. In fact, he's on pit road. He could be out. Johnny, this is perfect for Diogo Oliveira. If he keeps it on the island to the end of this race, he's got a WCS seat now.
Yeah, Oliveira's doing everything he needs to do. He was out of the front and he's in trouble. So perfect for Diogo Oliveira. And that's the key. You need to qualify high up and avoid those mid-pack battles. And unfortunately for Jonjic, who's out and away now, I think that car's got too much damage. He's trying to repair it, but the way it was banged up when I saw it out of that final corner, his day looked done.
Well, he's going to try and survive, try and take as many points as possible. Though, also on Moritz Lohner, because if he can't get going, he was only 70 points clear of Zoran Jonjic, so that's another 7 positions needed. And Michael Partington needing about 17 positions with a field of 37. That could happen in the favour of the driver of Michael Partington. There could still be massive changes at this stage. Sebastian Job, though, leads this field as things stands. Michael Dinkel in 2nd position, Oliveira in 3rd, Orozco in 4th, and it's Bobby Zelensky of all people. Not forget Ostergaard in 5th. Bobby Zelensky's up to 6th. Bergeron, despite the contact, is still in 7th. He's a very lucky lad, Johnny.
Yeah, very, very lucky. So as we look at this, look at these battles now near the front there, because I'm just want to focus if Dinkel can maintain that DRS range within Sebastian Job, because they're coming towards that 2nd zone now, towards the end of this lap. But just remember, Jake, I don't think Michael Dinkel needs to win this race. He just needs to get the points to get that license. Who cares who wins this race if you're Michael Dinkel? I think the scares he had with that calf injury, as he now flicks on DRS and brakes, everything's good through Vidal. I think he just needs to get these points right now. Seb, this is the moment of the race he starts to break away.
Yeah, he needs to work on this. This is the Kroenke phase as things happen. I, though, to Thomas Busch, because the Vortex Sim Racing machine is just behind Jorge Montañez in the Positive Sim Racing machine. Behind that, you have Nicholas Rasmussen and the championship leader in Alex Simpson. So Simpson knows that he wants to gain positions, wants to come away with the #1 number on his jersey, being that target go-to driver who's been brilliant all season. And if things stay like this here, Connery, we'll have a champion that has not won a single race all year. He's outdone Keke Rosberg of all people.
Yeah, exactly, and it just goes to show it isn't overall race pace that gets you season wins, it's the consistency throughout the entire season that puts you up there and fighting. So that is exactly what the likes of Alex Simpson and potentially Tommy Osgaard are going to do. Of course, Osgaard still hasn't won himself a race either and is still within a slight shout of taking the championship win. But, you know, if Alex Simpson drops back any further than he is, maybe he is under threat.
Well, he's got to try and get past drivers. Nicholas Rasmussen will be the first, and Nicholas is one of the toughest defenders in the game when you look at him, Johnny. He can be one of those drivers that some days it will be an easy job, but other days you will sit there for 50 laps wondering, why can't I get past in this 60-lap race?
Yeah, it needed to be smart with all the energy recovery system power as Alex Simpson gets close to tagging him. That's another option too. If you can't get past, tag him possibly. If they go over this second overtaking zone, really your second best overtaking spot apart from turn #1, and easily through. Now don't hit those anti-cut curves. You'll see with the battles coming up, drivers will bounce over those curves. They'll get a poor exit through this corner. Here's where the important run is, all the way down to turn 1, your best overtaking chance.
It is certainly your best overtaking chance. You can see, though, how the DRS and the ERS now comes into play as Nicholas Rasmussen has a little look at Thomas Busch in front. Busch unable to really make anything happen then at this stage, so he's got to be really careful now about how he positions that vehicle with a hard-charging Alex Simpson just behind. On the brakes into the Mercedes-Benz Arena, turn 3, not going to happen. He'll have to sit and wait. If you look further forward, though, Michael Partington may want to just try and take some more positions. In front of him here is position number 8, is Manu Domingo, Connery, and he needs to think about these positions. He needs to think probably about 6th place, if not 5th place right now today.
Yeah, he really needs to go all out. He needs to go 110% throughout the entirety of this race to try and make up more positions to, you know, at least try to make something of that shot of getting inside the top 10. And P number 9 right now isn't quite going to cut it.
It's not going to quite cut it, but at the front, Michael Dinkel, he's not gone away here, Johnny. He's stayed with the driver of Sebastian Job, and that's going to be a worrying thing for Job because the more he's put under pressure, we've seen it all throughout this season, he has cracked underneath that said pressure. He must be careful about that, especially for any suitors that want to take him up as a driver being a free agent.
Yeah, that's possible too. So normally, as we always say, you split your stints up into 3 stages. This is the first stage so far, and Michael looks like he's quick. So let's see how he holds up in those 2nd and 3rd stages of the stint. Very close into turn #1. I like that as they head through the Mercedes Arena section of the racetrack. Very technical here. All the mechanical grip in the world is what you need. Here's where they were side by side on that first lap.
Simpson going sideways and collected as well by the driver of Peo Stoyanov-Payev. My goodness, Alex Simpson was far too broadside into turn #1. He was desperate on the brakes to get through Thomas Busch, Connery. Sorry to cut you off like that, Johnny, but Alex Simpson has just collected contact. He's now stuck behind Esteban Ballo.
Yeah, they're really not expecting those cars ahead of him to be that slow coming down into turn #1. Has to lock it up, and then, of course, did get collected by Payev there. There was avoiding action taken by David Williams. He had to go right onto the runoff to try and avoid that one. He gets away with no damage, but the same could not be said for your championship leader.
And if things stay like this here, Johnny, we could be in a situation where Tommy Osgaard could be champion.
He could, but he has to win the race. He needs as many points as he can, as we can see through the quality of the racing so far and all the names out there. It's not really a high-quality split, and so Alex Simpson caught up in some incidents. His day is done. That car is not going to be repaired, and that's going to be too difficult to drive home too. Not only is that hard to drive, but it's also slow on the straights, and that's dangerous. I'd give him the black and orange flag.
I tell you what the worry, though, will be for Tommy Osgaard is that Bobby Zelensky is not going away. The driver that is 3rd in iRacing overall on the oval side is now proving that his road experience is really up there. And Connery, where has this Bobby Zelensky been all season?
well, he's been there in the background just working on things. But yeah, another fantastic result on the cards for Zelensky. Lap times last time by, he was fractionally slower than Tommy Osgaard, but Alex Simpson, not the race he would have wanted. He's on the lane.
He's on pit road, so this is going to put him on a two-stop strategy. And, well, Johnny, this is not on the strategy call, but what is the strategy call for drivers today?
No, you're right. This is very early. He's going to have to put in a big second stint, and I don't think he'll make it to the end. So I think his biggest concern right now is whether that car will actually be repaired rather than a two-stop. Because at the moment, I think his day could be done. But you're looking at lap 23 onwards is when that pit window opens. And that's as early as you'll see drivers come in. I don't think anyone will pit after lap 30 onwards, halfway through the race. You'd be pretty silly to do that, and I don't know why we've seen drivers do that throughout the year. So Simpson in the pits, that's going to be a long repair, and I think he has one hand on the trophy, Jake, but boy, is that hand starting to slip now as this race progresses.
Well, we've had 4 retirements already. Zoran Jonjic, Moritz Lohner, 2 major names, Jan Brezina and Francisco Diaz. Just seen Pejo Stoyanov-Peyev also crash out of this event. Michael Partington, though, close again to Domingo on the brakes into the left-right. Then they come with NGK, and right now, Partington needs everything to come up Millhouse. It isn't at this stage. He now needs to start working on the driver of Domingo to make this move, and maybe, Connery, get Alex Bergeron in on the mix.
Yeah, that's what he needs to do. He needs a little bit of help from his teammate here. Down in towards stint number 1 there. We'll go down towards the inside. We'll go Michael Partington. And I think that's going to be giving up the position there for Manu Domingo. Didn't fight it at all coming down into 1. So that is 1 more position gain for Partington. Next person on the track is going to be his teammate of Alex Bergeron. I don't think Alex Bergeron is going to fight it too much. He's out of contention for a license.
Well, you could have seen there from Manu Domingo, he left a space the side of the 100-acre wood. You could find Christopher Robin in there, the amount of room that he gave. So that's going to mean that Domingo gets put down 1 more position into position number 9. He is out of a license as well. He will not go to the WCS. But right now, Michael Dinkel up the Schumacher S. He's still there, but Job on this lap has been simply sensational right now here, Johnny. He is trying to break that 1 second, and he's right on the fringes of doing so.
I think once he does break that second, he'll start to pull out even more, because see on these straights now, Dinkel gets that extra DRS power. Well, not power, but, you know, it gets a bit of straight line speed, and so it just helps him reel in the gap again. He saved about 2/10 on that back straight there on the run to the Vidal chicane. Here they go through the Jaguar curve, formerly known as the Coca-Cola curve. Main straight, DRS open again, and you'll see Dinkel will close in. He'll almost be up the gearbox of Sebastian Job in the braking zone. Actually, I'll take that back. Maybe not.
Maybe not, but traffic becoming a factor on lap 9. Jonathan Beekoff will be the driver that they will have to round first, and the difference is 7 seconds a lap, Connery. We saw it a little bit in Indianapolis. Traffic, when you especially have 1 split, it's so much more apparent than it would be in a 2-split race.
Yeah, it is. So we've got drivers down here in the bottom half of the field that perhaps would usually be in the 2nd or even the 3rd split races on the race earlier on in the season. So everyone has just been thrown into this single race because we only have 37 registered, and that could be a cause for issues, especially with the drivers looking to get themselves inside of that top 10. The trouble with traffic is not what you need, especially in the Grand Prix Series race. This isn't multi-class.
This is not multi-class, and Sebastian Job has caught Beekoff now up the Schumacher S's, and well, he'll be looking to try and get this run on the outside. Gets it. Beekoff will let 1 through, and will probably let Dinkel through as well, and he was close down onto the brakes. That brings Michael Dinkel back into play. Further down the field, David Williams has got through at turn 1 on the driver of Thomas Busch. Busch only going backwards, it seems, in this event right now, but will stay with your leading 2, because this is the closest Michael Dinkel has been for a considerable while. On the brakes then into Vidal, and looking for the Jaguar curve at the end as well. And well, you can see just how much of a better run Sebastian Job, Johnny, just got off of that final corner, heads through Jaguar onto the front stretch, and Sebastian Job just gives himself enough of a gap at this stage to get going forward. The gap, though, as they crossed the line was, again, half a second.
Hey, it looks good, doesn't he, Sebastian? I like this. Although Dinkel's not he's definitely keeping you honest as they go through the Mercedes arena now, through the first sector. He's getting great drive out of corners. The car looks a lot better than it did in qualifying. Obviously, conditions changed much more dramatically. Here they go through this middle sector again, and Seb just taking wide lines. He's sublime. He looks good. Now, I know Dinkel has to deal with some dirty air, but through this middle sector anyway, I don't know who's looking better out of these two. It's very close. Sorry.
It's very close. It may come down to a strategy game between them, and Sebastian Job can only come in once Michael Dinkel has come in as well. Alex Simpson is officially out of this event, so that will be something to keep in mind for the championship, because with him out, scoring probably at best at this stage, maybe 40 points, potentially at best, Connery. This is now Tommy Ørsgaard trying to bring himself back into play. He currently sits in position number 5, and right now he is 219 points back, I put in my math. So he needs to be up there. Probably one more position's needed.
Yeah, one more position, and the position ahead of him is actually his teammate of Ricardo Orozco, but Orozco's got his own race to worry about, his own series, and his own finishing in the points to worry about as well. So I don't think there'll be a bit of team orders here just to give Ørsgaard the win. I think Ørsgaard's going to stay behind and allow Ricardo Orozco the best chance of securing himself inside that top 10.
Well, if they know that they can secure it, Johnny, the question will be, will they do exactly what happened one round ago, where Tommy dropped back 7-8 seconds to allow Ricardo Orozco through? Do you think we're going to see the same thing happen between the two teammates?
I'd do it. I think if it's worth it and you can get the license, might as well do it here. But at the end of the day, you've got to calculate this live and you've got to do it perfect. So it's better to be safe than sorry. And you might as well give the position up. Tommy, I don't think he's going to win this championship either. So remember, he has to worry about that too, because championship could be really good for PSR's exposure, but 221 points to Alex Simpson. Oh, boy, is this going to be close. I think it's just such a weak split at the moment in terms of iRating. I don't even think the winner's going to get like 230.
Well, that's going to be very questionable. Alex Bergeron, though, has let through the driver of Michael Partington, secures his spot a little bit further up into position number 7. The chase for Partington now is the driver of Bobby Zelensky. And when you think about the technical issues that he suffered at Circuit of the Americas, Connery, this is redemption for Partington if he keeps it on the island. But he has to be careful, though, and I think he got away, potentially, with the damage on lap 1, because there wasn't any, despite the big contact that he had into Vito.
Yeah, that car is looking surprisingly clean despite the huge amount of contact side by side ahead. That's with a lap car of, well, that is going to be Baikoff, and Baikoff's going to be slow off of the NGK chicane. Going to have to hold up Michael Partington there, exactly as the way he held up Zelensky as well. And Alex Bergeron has to go around the outside as well. So a bit of a scruffy couple of corners for being a bit of lap traffic. And I think Manu Domingo will get his way through just fine into one.
Yep, and David Williams has made more positions because Nicholas Rasmussen has been made quick work of, and already a second down the road, as now David Williams looks to put his eyes on Jorge Montañez, looks to put his eyes on Manu Domingo. And remember, David Williams doesn't have to make these positions. He's pretty much safe at this point, but he wants to get back up inside that top 8 here, Johnny, because everybody knows you want to be at least at your starting grid number. That's what's ideal.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also, you want to finish the season off on a high, because believe me, as a driver, even though this is pretty much a garbage round for David Williams and it doesn't really matter much, I think he needs to leave on some confidence, because right now he's going into a team where every single driver, every single one of his teammates will be quick. And oh, goodness me, Montañez, is that Jorge Montañez in front, right? Almost ran wide there. So he's going into a team that's a juggernaut, and he really needs to make sure that he's on pace with all of them.
Yeah, he's got to make sure that he is very, very careful. And, well, Williams has to be that driver who is careful, as he just about negotiates the rolling road of Beekoff at the moment. So Williams does a very good job of getting around that and getting himself further forward in this one. But right now, Bobby Zelensky is the man under pressure. He has to be the man who goes careful. Partington last time by was 0.7 of a second quicker. We'll see what the difference is this time. I definitely think the driver of Partington is now within the DRS range as they cross the line. It was this time a 33.2 from Partington. Was responded to with a 33.7, Connery, but Partington is on a different level right now. He is completely on a road, and Job's made a mistake, actually. I think he's behind Michael Dinkel now.
Yeah, he is, and that happened at some point over the past lap here. And what is exactly has happened to Sebastian Job?
NGK.
It was Dinkel leading his way across the line, and in fact it was NGK, just the single car instant, and no influence from anyone else. Here's the replay.
But this is the replay. He just loses the back end heading into that corner. This is a circuit which you normally think is more downforce dependent than most. And Sebastian Job losing the rear end into the very slow left-right. Just ran a little bit too far. And that's given Michael Dinkel then the opportunity to go win a race here at the circuit of the Nürburgring. Johnny, he'd only be the 4th winner this season. That's just been how dominant the likes of Job and Rasmussen have been.
Yep, exactly. So we may also see him pit early because he's done that before when he's lost the lead. He's pitted early, tried to counter the strategy, but that's going to make him pay in that second stint. I think he just needs to relax and stick to his strategy. Don't do anything too different here and just reel in Michael Dinkel over the next 47 laps. So you've got plenty of time as we look on board with Michael Partington right now. He's right behind Bobby Zelensky, who's been so impressive. One of the best oval sim racers in the world. He's given a shot here in the McLaren. We won't see him in the the World Championship Grand Prix Series on the road side, and at least he's given it a shot in the Pro Series. Let's see if he can make it in 2019 anyway.
Another 1/10 of a second lopped off by Michael Partington. In fact, let's go on board then for the entire lap, because Michael Partington knows here, Connery, that he needs to be trying to chase this down through the Mercedes-Benz arena, long, lisking turn 2 into the long left-hander of 3. And this 90-degree right here of 4 feels so much longer due to the characteristic of that corner. That's one of the great corners in racing.
Yeah, it is an absolutely brilliant corner indeed, as we're still following along with Michael Partington as he tries to chase down Zelensky. And this gap has just been relatively stagnant right now. Partington has got within that bubble, shall we say, of dealing with the dirty air. Even though he has DRS, he's not on as much of a charge as he was previously. It's going to be a fantastic reply in terms of lap times for Zelensky, but that's more because Partington is stuck behind in the dirty air.
Exactly, he needs to try and break it here as he is through the Schumacher S on the brakes into this long left-hander, 90 degrees, a lot of runoff there on the exit. But here's one of these things, the left-hander of Vorsteiner still has gravel on the outside, and you still wish, Johnny, that you still see some corners with gravel on it, and that's why the Nürburgring still has some of that old flair that's really nice to see. Yeah,
we should take racetracks off the calendar if they don't have gravel runoff areas. We should make that kind of silent protest. You know, when Bernie Eccleston didn't show Force India at the Bahrain Grand Prix in qualifying once. We should do something like that and do the Bernie on it. But I think it just makes a much better challenge for these drivers. As Michael Partington getting closer and closer to Zelensky into the first corner. I hate that bump there, Jake, in that first corner. It just unsettles the car. You want to push faster and faster. But in the end, it's all about mechanical grip through this section.
It certainly is. We've got a 3-car scrap, though, further back in the field. This is Diego Jimenez versus Bruno Canavas versus Stefan Schmidt. Affinity there at the back. Schmidt, one of those drivers that breathes sim racing. Right now, he's +7 for his day at this stage. The driver in front of Diego Jimenez, he's +8 right now, looking to chase down Victor Prieto, who is not having the day, Connery, that we normally see. He's had 3 14ths in a row and currently now pootling around in 17th.
Yeah, exactly. It's not been a great day for him. And looking at his front wing, it is a little bit slight front wing damage. There is the same case can be said for Stefan Schmidt as well. Looking up through the field, maybe problems with the number 20 of Thomas Boucher here. And I think these are issues of a technical nature, Jake.
Oh dear, so that's going to be disappointing. Eye, though, to Michael Partington. He's the closest he's been, and Zelensky ran a little bit wide through the long left-hander that was just preceding Vorsteiner. So now on the brakes into Vidal, and you can see just how close now Michael Partington will get on the brakes. Will look to get the power down, and he's pretty close as well as he makes the run to Jaguar. A little bit of a wider track, trying to open out the corner to get back onto the power, and this is the closest he's been. Probably a move here is going to be the most realistic opportunity, as we're going to see dive down to the inside. Zelensky may decide to fight this one, but in the end, he's got nothing to answer back with as he looks to try for the cutback. It doesn't work. Partington where he needed to be. Position number 6. Next job is now Tommy Østergaard, and that would be a scrap, Johnny.
It definitely would be. I'm very impressed with that pass from Michael Partington because it's so deceiving, that first corner, and it's a downhill braking zone too. So you always tend to see drivers run wide, and then guys like Zelensky who are being passed will go for the undercut, and the cutback is a better way to put it, and reclaim the position. But Partington slowed the car down perfectly on the apex and got the move done and sealed. So good stuff from Mr. Michael Partington, who is a World Championship caliber driver, but I think he might just fall short this year.
He may just fall short indeed. Manu Domingo versus Jorge Montañez. Then the two PSR cars then out together on circuit. And Connery, let's start praying a little bit because there's two PSR cars together on circuit.
Yeah, exactly. We keep mentioning it. We keep mentioning Okayama in the iRacing Grand Prix series. We used to do
Imola
on
now.
Sunday afternoon, and it's going to be Imola as well. Yes, I completely agree. Almost forgotten about that one. But so they have to be very, very careful here with how they negotiate things. I'm pretty sure there's no bad blood between these drivers at the moment. But the thing is, that could easily be the case if that happens again.
It could very easily be the case in the battle between Montañez and Domingo. Both of them will have to be careful because David Williams will be waiting in the wings. He had a very poor lap, though, a 1:36 flat the last time by. So we'll see if Williams can respond in the brand new livery of VRS Commander Sim Sport. Nice little bit of orange on the front. He does a 33.1 to respond to the lap times. Consider that 1.2 seconds quicker than the driver of Jorge Montañez in front, a second quicker than the driver in front of what is going to be Manu Domingo. Exactly what he needs. Zelensky, though, again under pressure, Johnny. He's now got Alex Bergeron to worry about.
He's got a very young whippersnapper, Alex Bergeron, behind him. And he's going to have to watch out because if he doesn't really up his pace at the moment, Bergeron's going to be straight through. Here's something we need to look out for, Jake, come pit stop time. A lot of these cars have damage because it has been a destruction derby for these first 17 laps. So look out for some long pit stops, which could really shake the field up.
Yes, front wings would mean an extra 5 seconds for a lot of drivers, but at the front, it's been pretty much plain sailing. Talk about Michael Dinkel. Suddenly, after taking the initiative, seizing it, Connery, he's now 2.5 seconds clear of Sebastian Job, and I think Job's now playing conservation mode.
Yeah, exactly. No need for him to really go all out. He's already cracked once. This race doesn't want to crack again, shall we say, as he gets a wiggle out of the Coca-Cola curve. The rear tire is struggling on that privateer machine now, of course, since he did leave the Core Sim Racing team as Dinkel negotiates some lap traffic into one. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the situation is, Jake, with Sebastian Job, with Frederick Rasmussen heading into the World Championship Grand Prix Series and their rumored new team.
Well, Will, I know you want to make a point, but apparently you may want to make a pint as well.
Yeah, I just want to talk about Sebastian Job. This is another unforced error by him that's costing the lead of a motor race. And again, I'm one of the people I think I'm probably harsher than the most on Sebastian Job, but this is at least the third time this season that we've seen an unforced error by Sebastian. And, you know, we talk about these people getting prepared for the World Championship Series. Now he lost the race lead. You do that in the World Championship Series, that's maybe 10 places you've lost.
Exactly, and that's very crucial because the moment you start making mistakes, you see that more and more happening in your game. You need to work doubly hard to correct those sorts of errors, and that won't be a trait that team managers will be looking at when it comes to Sebastian Job if he does decide to go to a team, that is. Bergeron still, though, on the back here of Bobby Zelensky. Just ran wide, though, through, I believe it was the Ford curve, Johnny. Not enough, really, to close up then on this lap. He's got to keep on working. He's got to get himself probably within about 0.3 of a second to have a chance into one.
Yeah, exactly. 0.3 is a very safe gap into turn one. You'd be starting to push it if you're 0.4, half a second behind on the back straight now. Bergeron, DRS, uphill braking zone makes this Vidal chicane much easier, which actually, going back to the Sebastian Job mistake, if you're making a mistake through this corner, you definitely missed your braking zone and you push too hard, because with an uphill braking zone, that car's going to get stopped quite easily as Bergeron now comes through the final corner. And he's got a good shot here at Bobby Zelensky. Jake, he's going to get very close in the braking zone.
Well, he's going to try, but Zelensky's going hard on the defensive run into one, and he's going to be slow off the exit too. Bergeron trying to get the cut back, does Kid iRacing, the Canadian, not able to make that move then in through the Mercedes-Benz arena. But that's good, though, for the driver of what is going to be Bergeron. He's the closest he's been all race long to Bobby Zelensky. He can now physically assert his dominance in this situation, Connery.
Yeah, meanwhile, though, back behind them, Manu Domingo and what's going to be David Williams going side by side through the Mercedes-Benz arena, and that is Manu Domingo just successfully defending the position for now, but he had to really fight for it coming through that first sector, and Williams is not going to give up that easily.
No, he's not. So David Williams wants to make sure that he makes this move on the run then down into the carousel-inspired Dunlop hairpin as he looks to try and take the outside track. It doesn't work. Williams is scrapping hard for this one. He doesn't have to, but he wants to get into a fight. He's like Fit Finlay in some sort of ways and understandings, but now now he's looking potentially at a late lunge. No, he'll set this one up through Ad Van Bogen on the run to Vidal. No, he doesn't. He gets completely out of shape. Commentator's curse comes into play, and David Williams now drops another 3 seconds.
Oh, I got so excited there, Jake. He's just pushing too hard. It's good to see David Williams actually pushing, though, which is a change for him, by the way. He's just so consistent, poised. He just takes it easy. Again, a mistake through Vidal. Save that, David, and he does. He's got to relax because those tires are going to get worse and worse. Just take these next couple corners easily because that pit stop phase is coming up soon. Lap 23 is when the window opens. It's too early to come in now.
Well, his tyres look absolutely shot as he will look again for the move on Nicholas Rasmussen. Rasmussen will go defensive this time, seeing the weakness from David Williams as he takes the ultra-wide line and takes the position as well. Very good driving there from David Williams, but he's got to bundle it all up again. He's now got to work out the way that he wants to race this one. And look at this, though, even further forward, though. Ricardo Orozco's being reeled in now here, Connery, by Tommy Østergaard. I think now Tommy Østergaard has a legitimate claim to say, come on, I want to get through now.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how this one is negotiated between the two positive sim racing drivers. The gap actually came down by about 9/10 of a second that last time by, so an absolutely huge lap time difference between these two drivers. And ahead of them, that's going to be a bit of lap traffic of Scott Bolster as well. And you know, the next car further down the road is Diego Oliveira, around about what is going to be 8 or 9 seconds further down the road. So they have time to negotiate this pass, and it won't hurt them too much, especially when Partington is quite far behind as well, 4 seconds.
Yeah, we've still got this battle going on further down the field. You've got Bruno Canavas, you've got Diego Jimenez, you've got Reynaldo Augusto now in this scrap, and the positive sim racing machine here in this battle for 17th, 18th, 19th. Wanted to go down to the inside, didn't happen. Looking to pick it up on the exit, does okay. Stefan Schmidt in the Affenty racing machine couldn't bring that vehicle back into contention. And look how wide Augusto goes through the Schumacher S. Schmidt's on him now, Johnny, like an absolute pest as he goes into this next left-hander. Doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. Not really the best overtaking spot. You want to do it here, but that right-hander, the Bilstein curve, it just makes things so much more difficult to get that run onto this back straight because of the dirty air. As now Augusto travels through the Vidal chicane. Schmidt's mucked up the chicanes a little bit, and he's now lost a couple of tenths, but we don't want to see those DRS, ERS trains start to form because that's when drivers will be stagnant. It'll be much harder to make a move.
Exactly. You're looking at this train, and already pit road has already come open because Manu Domingo's going to come out inside of this, and is he going to break clear? Just about. So Domingo just gets a bit of luck. He's early, lap 21 here, Johnny. That's very surprising, actually. Domingo's coming early.
It must be an undercut or something as the car gets out of the way. It must be a lap car there. As Bruno Canavas, that is. Yep, he is indeed being lapped, but what's going to happen with, excuse me, not being lapped, he's just moved out of the way. Domingo, very early pit stop, but he could be undercutting somebody else in his strategy. So I think he was around Nicholas Rasmussen at the time when he entered the pit lane. It could work. Montañez as well. Yep, he was around there. So
saying that there, Johnny, Montañez completely butchers the Vidal chicane.
Yeah, and they're teammates too, so I don't think they're fighting with each other. But he just has to watch out for the second stint, as we said, Jake, because it's going to be a tough end to this race for Manuel Domingo.
Oh, it certainly will be. So Manuel's got to be careful. And yep, David Williams down in lap 21. On to lap 22 he goes. So the number 2 machine, second in iRacing overall in this race. He's going to dive down onto this lane. An early stop, but one to get him probably to save those tyres, Connery.
Yeah, exactly, and he's forced to do this because, as you say, those tires got completely shot with the issues that he's been having. So up and down on jacks he goes, and long stop because he has to change that front wing, and he's going to be held for quite a while. Finally gets himself off the way with a fresh front wing, and let's see where he comes out in relation to other drivers. He'll come out around about the number 28 car, just behind Bruno Canavas here, and in a battle as well as Augusto and Hormilia as well, going down in towards turn number 1, straight into the action for Williams, and he's going to lose both.
And that's where his spotter has not done the job there. He needed a bit of fresh air to get on the offensive. It didn't work. He's in the middle of this. Down to the inside at turn 3, though, of Reynaldo Augusto. And Augusto's just going to fight back through 4. But around the outside, beautifully done by the driver of David Williams. 1 negotiated, 2 more to deal with. But this is going to cost him probably about 3 seconds overall here, Johnny. And that is not the David Williams that we know and like to see.
Yeah, but the battle there with Augusto, that's just a great fundamental overtake, selling fake lines, forcing Augusto onto lines that he doesn't want to be on, making him slow as Sebastian Job now comes into the pit lane early. He's in our little pit window here of lap 23. Oh, look at the rear traction there. Just absolutely nothing as he exits the pit lane. Is he in clean air though, Jake?
Yes, just about. He's behind Alex Bergeron, so he's got a couple of seconds before he catches him. He'll be very hopeful about that because he can use him now as a driver to get forward. That's going to mean that Michael Dinkel's been released. And if Michael Dinkel was clever, he'd probably come down in on this next lap, maybe one lap later, to see if Alex Bergeron's going to play a factor in this, because Dinkel knows on these older tyres, when he's done 32.8 that last time by, that he is probably about 0.3 of a second slower than what he was in his original stint. He knows that the tyres aren't going to be as much of a factor today, Connery, than they would be at a track which is absolutely scorching.
Yeah, exactly. Track temperature around about 34 degrees, which is relatively standard in terms of the iRacing dynamic weather. As he does come down into the water lane, he does decide to cover off the move.
He does. So Michael Dinkel, race leader, down in onto the lane. Does Diogo Oliveira follow in suit? No. He will go and lead a lap here in the road to pro. So Michael Dinkel then on the lane he goes, and he will be looking to try and get the jump on Sebastian Job, who currently is now heading his way through Ad Van Bogen, just behind the driver, the Canadian of Alex Bergeron. Into NGK he goes, and I think this is going to be desperation time for Sebastian Job, because he can't make the move on Bergeron, who decides that he doesn't want to make the pit, but he's as close as he possibly has been. Dinkel, though, has hit his box. He's out. He's away. He will retain the net race lead because Sebastian Job is not going to be close enough. Job down the inside then of Alex Bergeron makes it easy, but Dinkel's already got a car of Bobby Zelensky straight through. That is class from Dinkel, Johnny.
Yep, great pit stop, covered him off well, and Job was held up by Alex Bergeron too, which supported Dinkel's pursuit for the win. Quick fact of the day, Michael Dinkel, number one, couldn't really care less about the Nürburgring, despite it being one of his home tracks. And the other thing is, I think this might be his best circuit. We've seen him in previous Pro Series and the World Championship, other races too. He's just so quick at this racetrack, and it suits him so well as a driver.
Jorge Montañez then out of pit road in the number 12 machine. He gets ahead of Manu Domingo by some considerable margin, and he'll be very happy at the fact that he's now got a bit of breathing room to be working with then into the second half of this event. So we keep an eye on those looking to come in. Oliveira is one of them. Into the left, into the right of Vidal. Will he dive down onto the lane now? No. He's going to stay out and do the long strategy. Oliveira has been one that has liked to stay out a little bit longer than others, Connor. Sometimes to the detriment of his race, but right now I think he's just running to his strategy play.
Yeah, he has enough room back to the car that was behind him before all of those stops cycled through, so he can afford to try and go onto this long first stop strategy. So it could be a very good decision for Oliveira. It'll give him the fresher tires for the second stint of this event, and then try to chase down the likes of Job and Dinkel. I think it might be an attempt that'll be in vain unless Dinkel and Job decide to start to fight it out.
Alex Bergeron was almost hitting the pit walls. He came down onto pit road, Johnny. You got a better eye of it than I did.
Yeah, that would have been quite hilarious if he did, but he just saved it. Car started to get a bit loose. He comes in for his pit stop, hopefully a very quick one. Out and away from the former World Championship driver. He won't be there in 2018, we know that, but he's certainly got a lot of good years ahead of him, Alex Bergeron. He's a very quick, very skilled sim racer, one of the best in the world in terms of car control.
I'm looking at Sebastian Job right now. He's trying to use the traffic as a pick here for Bobby Zelensky. On the brakes, then they go into the right-hander then of Dunlop, and that's easily done. Zelensky completely butchered the corner there. Couldn't hold a track line on the outside, so Sebastian Job easily makes his way through, but he's been held up a lot of time because of it. Oliveira knows his rival behind is Ricardo Orozco. He's already gapped him. He'll come in when probably he comes in as well. You can see he stays out one more lap, but Michael Partington, despite the fact Michael Dinkel's behind him right now, Connery, he can see 2.4 seconds down the road Tommy Erstgaard. He wants to get these positions. He wants to be thinking about position 4 because he wants Orozco as well in this case.
Yeah, and all the drivers ahead do decide to stay out yet another lap in this event, and Partington can't be affording to lose too much time here as he negotiates the pass for Dinkel to get through. So it's not going to be easy for Dinkel to find his way through. He's going to look towards potentially the inside here, but nope, word by word, that is not what you would have wanted into turn 1.
Wow, Michael Dinkel just trying to trail that brake a little bit more, and thank goodness that it was only just a spin. There was nobody else coming along. That was easy for Sebastian Job to get through. But Michael Partington, what damage is on the ERT machine? We've seen it all season with ERT. They get the most horrific luck when it comes to getting these vehicles and keeping them clean, Johnny.
Yeah, that's not good. And I don't think Michael will get a penalty. So regardless of whether he wins this race or not, he'll be fine. But for Michael Partington's chances, when you need every single point and every second you need to get into that top 10, that's not good for his pursuit, because we keep all our eyes on Diogo Oliveira, who's currently actually leading this race. Who knows where Michael Partington will end up? You know, will Ricardo Orozco finish this race highly? Let's see what happens to Diogo, Oliveira, Partington. Those three are in your little battle for those final spots.
And that may have just cost Michael Partington potentially a position if he's not too careful, because someone like Alex Bergeron, who's already come down onto the lane, could get the jump thanks to that spin. So Michael Partington has to be careful. Oliveira stays out another lap. Ricardo Orozco is down onto the lane. Tommy Østergaard stays out. So Orozco dives in from second on the circuit, net fifth when it comes, well, net fourth actually, when it comes to the road. So we'll see what sort of stop time he can do. But Ricardo Orozco coming in because he knows that Diogo Oliveira is just going to stay out. He only needs to battle against his former contemporary, Connery.
Yeah, he does. So trundling down the pit lane, he goes at 60 kilometers an hour, tries to find his pit box, which is quite far up. He did qualify MP number 4, of course, and will get the fresh rubber. No front wing change required for Orozco, as he will come out behind, well behind Thomas Pouchet, though, but that is a couple of laps down car, so he's in a huge amount of clear air in terms of battles on track around him.
Well, he'll be very fortunate the fact that he's got clean air. He can now attack into it. The gap between Dinkel and Job is down to just 2 seconds between them. So Job can now start thinking about going on the offensive here, starting to get aggressive and attack the driver of Dinkel, who's coming up towards Tommy Østergaard now as the next vehicle of contention. Oliveira will want to potentially come down in. And right now, Johnny, Dinkel versus Job, we've seen what's happened with Dinkel. I've been looking at the front wing. It doesn't look like there's much damage on that machine, but Sebastian Job now has seen that Michael Dinkel has been involved in incidents, and I think Michael Dinkel now will be a little bit worried that Job can now start taking the psychological advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Psychological is what I wanted to talk about. In terms of Dinkel's now hit Partington. Who knows how that's actually put him out of rhythm? Is he overthinking this too much? Is he... Yeah, who knows what's happened there, as now there could be more incidents, Jake.
Yeah, that was Sebastian Job getting a big wiggle coming out of Vidal. In comes Oliveira. In comes Tommy Østergaard. So retaining the race lead now overall will be Michael Dinkel, as the gap does slightly extend there, 0.2 of a second on that last lap. Out and away comes Oliveira. Easy as you like. In comes Michael Partington as well. Here comes Ricardo Orozco, though, looking to come down this start-finish line, looking to make something happen here, and looking to take some positions away, Connery. And right now, Orozco is still ahead of Tommy Østergaard. And that, for Tommy Østergaard, though, will be okay, because he's a lot closer than he was potentially 2 laps ago.
Yep, exactly. It still remains to be seen whether or not Ricardo Orozco will make this easy for Tommy Østergaard. We'll just have to wait and see as they head their way through the Mercedes arena, but it's going to be still a battle behind, though. Bobby Zielinski versus Alex Bergeron is still one that we do need to talk about, because Bergeron was around about 0.2 of a second faster last time by. They're going to negotiate a bit of lap traffic in Scott Bolster, but Bergeron is going to try to continue on his good run so far this race.
And behind that is Michael Partington. The spin has cost him 2 positions on the brakes there. The traffic not being too friendly there in the form of Scott Bolster, but enough to get out of the way. So Partington now has to do the work all over again, and this may be the time here, Johnny, where the pick is used by Partington, using Bergeron as a pick, get a 2-for-1 special at the supermarket.
Yeah, it's like a basketball game, isn't it? Pick and roll right now. See what he can do. And Bergeron, how many seconds is he up ahead? 1.3 at the moment. So he's within touching distance, not within DRS zone, of course. Here's that second DRS straight coming up. There are the markers. Partington crosses the line. And he definitely doesn't have DRS this time around. So Bergeron, oh, he runs deep into the Vidal chicane. He has DRS though, Jake, on Bobby Zelensky. So Zelensky, 6.4 seconds to Tommy Osgaard. Certainly nothing to defend with.
No, he has to play very bold on his defense. He's got to keep at bay Alex Bergeron by 0.4 of a second, if not a little bit more then in this battle of wits between the American and the Canadian. And, well, no NAFTA trade deal is going to be salvaging anything between the pair of them right now as they head into the left-hander of turn number 2. Partington looking to follow as he's done an outlap of a 56.3. Not bad there from Michael Partington, looking to be the aggressor, looking to get back into this race. Job, though, has the gap down at under 2 seconds for the first time in a little while here, Connery. Michael Dinkel must be careful now. He knows that it is no mistake city. Remember what happened at Suzuka? Both drivers threw away a victory.
Yep, they did, and it could be the same story again if they're not too careful. Another car down towards lane is Matteo Calistani yet again, so he's in for a second stop here after having to pit very early in this event to get damage repaired. He's going to be off and away in terms of the pit lane there. He's going to come up behind his teammate of Ronaldo Augusto, but yeah, Dinkel and Job, this could be pretty good for Oliveira to potentially drag himself back up there. The gap is standing at 14 seconds, of course, but that can become nothing in just a matter of corners. We've seen it already this season.
I'll tell you who I am surprised with right now here, Johnny. It's Rene Venderbosch in the Logical Vortex sim racing machine. He's up 12 positions by merit, and he's harassing Manu Domingo now for what's his position number 11.
Yeah, I like Rene. He's doing well this race, isn't he? And Domingo is very experienced in any form of Grand Prix Series racing. From the Williams, he was racing all those years ago, to when the McLaren came into play. Lap car out of the way there. Venderbosch here will have DRS, won't he, across this main straight. He's within a second of Manuel Domingo. Here they go on the main straight. He's a bit too far behind, though, Jake, this time around. But you can see with these lower split drivers, when you're in a broadcasted race like this, you really need to make sure you impress. And what we saw in those first few laps for some of these drivers won't impress. But for these drivers behind, they just need to make sure they stay out of trouble, pull off some good moves. And who knows, a big team could be watching and saying, hey, you know, I like that guy. Let's contact him. Let's get him on board for a big seat. And then that could develop them for the next 1 or 2 years in terms of improvement. So these drivers definitely think about broadcasted races and how big of a difference it makes.
Yep, they certainly do, and well, I wouldn't call Logical Vortex as a small team after their 24 Hours of Daytona efforts, but I think that there will be a lot of drivers looking to have this push, looking to try and make things happen for them. But something that I do like talking about should be incident limit here, and David Williams is one of those drivers that has to be so careful right now here, Connery. By my knowledge, I think he may be just a couple, if not one incident away from hitting 15.
Yeah, one instant, and well, one instant is basically just one off track, and he will get disqualified from this event if what we're hearing is true. So he has to be so careful, just tiptoe around the circuit, so because there's no point in getting yourself disqualified from this event, and it's going to be pretty difficult here at the Nürburgring. Of course, it won't be as difficult as it would be at places like Spa, which is notoriously vicious with the off tracks. But again, it's not a situation that David Williams wants to be in. P number 14 at the moment has to negotiate Bruno Canavas coming into the NGK chicane. That is actually a battle for position there, as well as the car behind as well. Carl Germanton looking for the opportunity over Williams. And as I said, Williams has to be so careful. He can't afford to be fighting this hard. He's one instant away from DQ.
Exactly, he's fighting hard now with the birthday boy, Carl Germanton. So Germanton wants to try and get a little present for David Williams, and he hopes it's not disqualification, because that would be the worst possible present that you could ever give. Johnny, I do believe it's, in your time right now, your birthday.
Yeah, it is. I don't want people to know, though, so thanks for publicizing that. Probably too late now.
Happy birthday
but it is.
to you. Happy
is that live?
birthday
Will, are you live right now, or are you just singing behind the scenes?
Happy
I have no idea.
birthday.
Well, we got happy birthday either
Johnny.
way.
Happy birthday
So,
to you.
for my listen, for my 72nd birthday, I'm thinking all my kids will be here. My grandkids, my great grandchildren. We're all going to celebrate and go to the what's that Race of Champions called? Yeah, Race of Champions. What am I saying? Going to the Race of Champions. Just gonna go and enjoy that.
Well, that's always going to be a very nice present for you some years down the line. So Sebastian Job, though, focus on him. He's brought the gap down by another 1/10 of a second on that lap, and it's all he needs to do, Connery. 10th by 10th. The gap is 1.7 now between Job and Dinkel. And Dinkel will see that gap come down lap on lap, and he will also see the amount of traffic that he's got ahead. Schmidt, Prato, Mathesius, Winkler, Augusto, Calastani, all of these battles for position that he will have to go and interrupt and get past when Job will just take the sloppy seconds.
Yeah, and a 10th a lap is going to be enough by the end of this race. We've got 28 laps to go as the next time they head their way across the line. But back through the field, I think it was Michael Partington getting past Alex Bergeron, and that was Bergeron just slowing up for him.
Yeah, that's exactly what Michael Partington wanted. Bergeron's playing the team game. He is doing exactly what he wanted to in this situation. Now Partington can go and attack Bobby Zelensky for the second time in this event, but Zelensky has pulled out over a second here, Johnny, and that's enough for Zelensky here to say, I've had a really good run of things today.
Exactly. I'll tell you what, Jake, I've been very impressed with Bobby Zelensky. He's had a topsy-turvy, I say this for everybody, but he definitely has had a topsy-turvy sort of season. Broken away from Mike Partington here. He looks good. I think, though, for Bobby, I mean, what is there to say on him, Jake? Like, this season, he's been around the mid-pack most of all. Yeah, he's 6th now, obviously because a lot of drivers are absent, but I think this race, even if you throw in all those other drivers that are absent, I think this has been Bobby Zelensky's best race, at least from what I've seen.
Exactly, and he's just improving and learning and getting better, and he will just take that as opportunity, and he can even translate that back into his oval driving, Connery, and that's going to be very crucial heading on further forward. But right now, Reynaldo Augusto in an actual battle with Lucas Kriz right now, a driver who has been completely quiet and off the radar all race long. Kriz is up an amazing 17 positions.
Well, it's going to be 15 positions, at least on my screen as it is right now. But the thing is, just no traction off of that corner there. Off of turn number 12 does let by the driver of Reynaldo Augusto. And yeah, not much he could have done defending that after he spun the tires up on the exit of the corner. So it's still a very good run for him. We haven't really seen him in really any broadcasted race. So fantastic run for him in for number 23.
I don't think he's even come down onto the lane yet, so he's going for the uber long strategy, and we don't often see that, and quite often, Johnny, it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. I think the closest I've ever seen it come to work was Joni Tormler at Monza, and even then it sort of, you could tell it wasn't the right thing to do. It's always a one-stop in the McLaren. I think that needs to change, though, in a positive note. Who knows where the future, or what the future holds for iRacing and this car. Are multiple compounds going to come in, all that kind of stuff, but I think something to throw these drivers off ahead of the 2018 season is say, hey, you've been used to one-stop now for a couple of seasons. How about we give you this update, now you have to pit 3-4 times a race. I'd prefer that than the one-stop.
Well, that would throw proverbial cat amongst the proverbial pigeons, and that's going to be something just to keep in mind on. Dinkel now dealing with the traffic, but Job made another mistake. He was now back 3.8 seconds, 34.5 that last lap. It was a shocking lap from Sebastian Job, and I'm wondering if it was a spin, if it was traffic, what it was that caught out Job. And again, it was a spin coming out of Vidal this time. Too aggressive on the power. That's twice now, Connery, it's happened.
Yeah, and it seems to be a theme with, well, with these now ex-core sim racing cars is that they're so tail-happy with getting the traction down. And even on the entries of the corners at times as well, it's a very loose setup that they're running. And as a result, Job has made yet another unforced error.
Do you think that the wind here is playing a factor into Job's issues, Connery?
Just looking at the direction of it, it is a crosswind coming into Vidal, but I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue because the wind isn't actually gusting that much when all things are considered. It's just a theme that we've seen throughout this entire series that those core sim racing cars are very loose.
They can be very loose. They have to be careful. René Venderbosch, though, still in that scrap then to position 11 with the driver of Manu Domingo. He's been close for a long while now, Johnny, but it's just not quite happened the way that he has wanted it to be seen here. René Venderbosch wants to make that move, but he just doesn't seem to have that get up and go to really challenge Domingo. Domingo's matching him.
He just needs to be patient. When I'm in this situation as a driver, I don't push too hard after the first 3-4 laps if I can't get past. I might stay 5-6 laps behind them. Take it easy. Just maintain some grip in those Pirelli tires. And then after about 10 laps, if you're still stuck behind and they haven't made a mistake, afterwards, you know, obviously you're putting all the pressure on them, so you hope they make an unforced error. But lap 10, 11, then you start pushing again. Now all of a sudden you've got fresher rubber. The pass is going to be a lot easier. You just have to be a bit more patient with it. So Van der Bosch has got a lot of strategies to sort of use here, but whether or not it actually works is a different question, of course.
Yeah, it's always going to be a different kettle of fish here for Rene van der Bosch. He's now got to understand this is fighting with the big boys. I now have to start trying to think about making moves and looking to cement myself for 2019 as a major player in the game. Let's get ourselves on board, though, with the driver, Michael Partington. I want to go RaceSpotTV fan immersion. We're going to do some maths and some number crunching behind the scenes because we're going to give you a glimpse into what the championship could look like when we come out here of the Nürburgring. Tommy Ostergaard has spun it at Vidal, and that's a big spin. It has major implications on the racing. He's gone and turned it around. It means that Ricardo Orozco now is clear, is free, and it means that Bobby Zelensky now is just 2 seconds now behind the driver of Ostergaard. A big moment, Connery. Massive. Tommy Ostergaard could have just thrown away potentially his chance at winning the season outright.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait to see how the points will start to stack up. But yeah, it's another self-spin coming through the NGK chicane. And
well, we just had a huge one. Oh. Sorry, that's Team Beecham. It's further back in the field, but we've just seen 2 vehicles off at exactly the same point. 2 separate incidents. Francisco Diaz had spun it out of 3, and then Beecham spins it through 4 there, Connery.
Yeah, so that's an interesting sort of situation as Diaz is about 28 laps down at this moment in time. Not sure why he's still out there and racing with the severely damaged side pods that he has and floor there. He's just a danger to everyone out there on circuit. And again, Nicholas Rasmussen just tries to find his way by. I don't think Diaz should be out there.
Connery doesn't play any games. He doesn't mince his words or anything, but something that we can say, it is so marginal for the top 10 right now, because you look at something like Michael Partington. He is right there. He is really close to the driver of Bobby Zelensky. The harmonicas will play, but that won't matter because Partington, I puts him as so close that I can't call it right now here for this battle going on for the top 10, Johnny.
Yeah, very close. You're really clutching at straws if you think Partington's going to make it. And Zelensky, though, he's finally going to be cracked under pressure, isn't he, here, Jake? Through this first sector. I think, go on.
Well, I think he's close because Moritz Lohner's only going to score a maximum of, what, 10 points? That's 190 he needs. 2 positions could give him that. We've seen Tommy Østgaard spin. We've seen him now back into the mix. And if Partington pushes now for the last 22 laps of this event, Connery, I think that he could make it in. He needs the mother of all drives now.
Yeah, exactly. That one position is on the cards, but whether the position over Tommy Østgaard is on the cards still remains to be seen. And with 22.5 laps to go for him, it's going to be a relatively big ask for Michael Partington to secure himself inside of that top 10, but never say never.
You know, you can't say never in this series. You can't say never in any form of sim racing. We've seen the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. René van der Bosch still there with Manu Domingo. The gap was 2/10 last time when they crossed the line. Van der Bosch couldn't get the move done. So I'm just wondering here, Johnny, what does René van der Bosch do at this stage? He can sit and wait all he likes, but that's not going to give him the move. At some stage, he's got to be proactive.
No, you're right about the proactiveness, but as I said before, sometimes when you sit and wait, if Domingo has to push to stay ahead and he wears his tires out, and you're just taking it easy behind, Van der Bosch maybe started there because I thought he was going to run deep into the Vidal chicane. But if you just stay behind, bide your time, calm down, you know, don't push too hard, you'll save those tires. And after 5, 6, 7 laps, you'll end up having more grip than Domingo. You could have saved an extra 1 or 2 laps of wear.
Around, Connery? Partington, oh my!
Yeah.
Again?
Back on the racetrack.
Wow! He was going for the move then on the driver of Bobby Zalenski. He looked for the inside. There was contact between the two. Partington gets caught up. He gets going again. And that could have just been the moment, Connery, that we just saw Michael Partington's championship go up in flames.
Yeah, could well have been as it was. Yeah, as exactly as you describe it, Jake. A hopeful move down the inside at turn number 3, but that gap was always going to close. The move was not on for Partington to make his way down the inside there.
And that reminded me a lot of, you know, Mika Salo and Mark Webber in Australia 2002. That was like when Salo tried to pass Webber, couldn't get the move done. Much similar incident there. The gap closed and Partington just... he got a little bit too desperate. This track at the Nürburgring, Jake, is not easy to overtake at. So you have to pull off those kinds of moves, and the risks will bite you at the backside every now and then.
Yeah, they certainly will. You have to make sure that you make a move, and you make a move cleanly, and that's been the issue that we saw there with the driver of Michael Partington. When he will cross the line, I will put him probably maybe 4 seconds, 5 seconds back of Bobby Zalenski, if not more. We'll look as he crosses the line. The gap that he will now look to close down, yes, is now 5.4, 6.4 seconds now across the line. So Bobby Zalenski here, well, he's got away with one. He's not going to catch up to Tommy Østgaard. Østgaard's got the legs, it seems, by 0.2 of a second a lap. This race just became very, very interesting, Connery.
Yeah, incredibly interesting, because even though Michael Partington didn't lose a position, his chance at gaining the position just went up in complete flames. And now 5 seconds, 6 seconds with about 20 laps to go. The next time he heads across the line, it is going to be a huge, huge ask for Partington to do anything about Zalenski at this point. But, you know, I can't really say anything for sure because this race has not been certain in any way, shape or form.
No, it hasn't, and well, certainty is one of those factors that always comes back and puts into play what a lot of people have in mind, what a lot of people have in store. They always have to fight and scrap and claw. Sometimes there's misfortune along the way. How much, though, Johnny, will the driver Michael Partington be hurting after results like Monza, after misfortune like at Kota? How much will that cost the character of Michael Partington, knowing that he had the potential to be there, but he has to now spend an extra year getting there?
You got to have a short-term memory as a driver. You got to be like a quarterback. If you watch the NFL, you just got to be exactly the same. You got to come in with a mentality where, you know, it's not the end of the world when these things happen. These mistakes now, you got to have, as I said, the short-term memory. When Dinkel turned Partington around, do you really think Michael Dinkel's still thinking about that now? No, he's got a 3.9 second lead and he's comfortable with that. So Partington, if he doesn't get that World Championship license, hey, just go back to work. Figure it out. You got another 10 more months till the Pro Series starts.
René van der Bosch very close then to the driver of Domingo into turn number 1. It didn't work out for him, and he was saving ERS all down that stretch. I'm wondering, Connery, if René van der Bosch is using his ERS at different points in the lap to try and bring back in the driver of Domingo, only to be unable to use all of it when it matters the most.
Yeah, exactly. A game of strategy for when you deploy the ERS is slightly different points of harvesting, slightly different points of deployment can make all the difference. Usually to make the pass, you would use it all pretty much out of the final corner and then make a move down the inside at perhaps turn number 1. But the thing is about the ERS, you could also use it to defend as well, so it's not all that easy.
No, it's pretty much a double-edged sword. You can use it one way, you can most certainly use it another way as well. Just a reminder, you can get live timing and scoring. Head over to RaceSpot.tv/timing. If there's a drive that you want to catch up on that we haven't seen, make sure you can check that out on circuit. This is lap 42. I'm going to put this now out of 60, so we've got 19 laps to go here at the Nürburgring. 19 laps left of the season. And Johnny, this has been a season of up and downs, and even this last race, the margins have changed drastically at this stage.
Yeah, I've never seen this before, where so many drivers are missing that you're getting almost third split drivers coming into a top split race for the final round. I remember when I covered the Pro Series 2 years ago, final round was everyone was there going for the points, and there weren't many absences. So this year it's been a very sort of, every year we like to rank the Pro Series class. I think there's so much top-heavy talent, you know, in Rogers, Freddie Rasmussen, Sebastian Job, Simpson, Dinkel, all those other guys, Oscar, Williams. But after that, it sort of drops off, because those guys who will make the World Championship, like, will they be any higher than like P35 at most in terms of the 40 drivers? That's what we have to find out, because yeah, we know they're talented, but man, is it going to be tough for them when they hit the World Championship. So not the strongest Pro Series class we've seen, but at the same time, very top-heavy in terms of some brilliant talent that can win some races in the future.
Yeah, and one of them will be David Williams, because you look at David Williams right now here, Connery. Yes, he's got to tiptoe around, but yes, you have to look at this. He's closing down van der Bosch and Domingo out on circuit, and these two have been forever locked in this perpetual tide of motion where one comes in, one comes out. David Williams could come into this battle and decide to go, you know what, I'm going to be very cautious about how I make this move, but I've got the pace to make this move.
Yeah, definitely has space, no question about that one, because a 1:32.6 from David Williams up against the 1:33.4 for van der Bosch. That is a huge difference in terms of the lap times. We'll have to see if it is the same case the next time by. And yeah, he's only 2/10 off of his best lap. So even though he has to tiptoe around a little bit, still going all out regardless, as he sets a 1:32.8 that last time by, a 1:33.3 for van der Bosch. Yet another half a second taken out.
And that brings that gap down to under 2 seconds. So David Williams in the number 2. Well, there may be some lucky number that's going on here, methinks. So that's going to be something just to keep an eye out on here. Something that we haven't talked about is how Jorge Montañez is still within 2 seconds, Johnny, of Alex Bergeron. Yeah,
I like that. Go Jorge Montañez. And as Bergeron runs, what line was that through the Dunlop curve? That was like the NASCAR where 150 laps through the race, I'm going to run the widest outside line I can possibly run. And Bergeron gets away with it. He's very quick on ovals, isn't he, though, Jake? Very quick on dirt ovals, at least.
Yeah, I mean, virtual to reality, you talk about that sort of series that comes in. Alex Bergeron is arguably one of the greatest all-rounders. You put him up there with the likes of a PJ or a Jake Sturgis about just how good he can be in every single aspect of racing on iRacing, but he now has to deal with a little bit of traffic here coming off of the exit. That's Scott Bolster, and Bolster will probably go to the outside at Jaguar. No, he will make that happen at the front stretch, which is very helpful here for not only Bergeron, but potentially Montañez as well. But I think Montañez just a little bit too far back at this stage of the event to really go and make something happen. Lucas Chris, by the way, he's down on the lane. He's now 2 laps down. I think this is a very long stop. I think Lucas Chris may be out here, Connery.
Yeah, I think so as well. So that very, very long first stint may not be paying off. In fact, he is out of that car, so I don't think he's going to be coming out anytime soon, which is a shame. You know, even though we rib on these lower ranked drivers in this race, still he was one that basically just kept himself to himself, and we didn't mention him a lot. So it is an absolute shame for him.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a shame. And, well, Johnny, you're looking now at this final stage of the race. Everybody's just trying to consolidate at this stage. You're looking at the gaps, you know, 4.6 seconds here for Sebastian Jobs. He's had to deal with 2 bits of traffic, Diaz and Beecham, who are going at it side by side into one. Well, they can have a bit of fun being multiple laps down. But look at this. Here comes Diaz straight back around the outside of Beecham. Thank you very much. Lovely job. Just about made it.
Isn't Diaz like 28 laps down? He's 29 laps down. And Beecham, by the way, is that he's the guy with the 1-letter first name. But we have no idea what his first name is. He's just got 1 letter. He's like Cher and Seal and all those people. He's taken it to the next level. 1-letter first name for T. Beecham. But Francisco Diaz, I've never seen a car 29 laps down in a Grand Prix race, which is technically around an average of 90 minutes long. Here he goes now, lapping himself through the field, and he's quick.
Yeah, he's looking to go for it. So fair play to him. If he thinks that he can do it, he'll go and do it. I'm going to officially call this. Sebastian Job is now 5 seconds back. I don't see a way, Connery, unless Michael Dinkel suddenly catches Clinch's disease, that Sebastian Job's going to come back and win this race.
Yeah, I think it's all over for him now. 4.8 seconds back, 4.9 seconds back. So unless he turns on the afterburner, so to speak, I don't think there's going to be a chance at the end of this race unless some extenuating circumstances happen to the Apex Racing UK driver currently leading this race. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen at the moment. Completely clear air ahead of him, but still a 3-car squabble going on for P number 11. Domingo, Vanderbosch and Williams. Williams is now right on the back.
Well, David Williams will want to make sure that he gets this position as cleanly as possible. He can't afford any more mistakes. A little bit of traffic in front. That's Thomas Busch. He's running very quick times, though, so they'll be fortunate about that. But Thomas Busch caught out with technical difficulties. Back out racing, just trying to finish this one. He's currently down in position number 25, I'm going to say. And he was up as high as the top 10 at one stage, Johnny.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's what happens in these races now. Things topsy-turvy, pit stops come in, damage. You start to slingshot back and forth every now and then. So, that's always the case. Have a look at the top 10 gaps, Jake. Just on a quick aside. Everyone's within, like, the closest gap's 3.2 seconds. Everyone else, there's such a big gap. Sebastian Job, as we're talking, as Will Vincent was mentioning behind the scenes, is just sort of given up on this race. Doesn't look as quick.
Oh, look at this. Now? David Williams trying to dive down the inside. He gets himself the nose. He'll be on the outside, though, for turn number 2. Slow traffic, though, in the form of Scott Bolster, and they're going to go 3 wide here. Look at Williams on the outside, trying to make something happen here, trying to take that outside line. Snatch the inside. He gets the inside, and he gets a great run off of the corner. Brilliant move from David Williams. That is racing in a nutshell. That's twice he's managed to make it happen through the arena, Connery.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant racecraft from David Williams, and I think we expect that from a VRS coach, shall we say. It'll be a little bit embarrassing if he didn't have good racecraft and he was a coach, but there we go. David Williams definitely showing what he's made of, getting past Vanderbosch, but the thing is, it still hasn't been a great race overall for him. Did qualify P number 8, of course, but you know, early problems brought him back through the field, but he's done a good job in trying to get himself back now. He can get one more car, I feel. That's Manu Domingo. Nicholas Rasmussen, I think, is a little bit too far down the road.
Well, Nicholas Rasmussen is one of the best defenders, and he's had a quiet race in the Gap SRT machine here today, Johnny. He's up inside the top 10. He'll be happy with this. I've been seeing all his updates that he's been doing on his Facebook. And Nicholas Rasmussen, he is one of those nice guys. He's worked very hard to get to where he is, and he's doing a very good job of things today.
Yeah, you got to impress in these big races right now. Lots of people watching, as you said, so certainly important there. Vanderbosch dropped behind Williams. Williams is going to get past Domingo. Is he going to pull off that move, Jake, into turn 1? And he's definitely a high IQ driver, because that was never on.
Well, he certainly seems to be a lot more confident on the brakes compared to Manu Domingo. That much I can say for certain. from David Williams right now, and Manu Domingo now will have to be careful at every corner because there is an opportunity wherever it comes. And you can see how David Williams backed himself up there through 3 to get a much better drive through corner number 4 into now the likes of the Valvoline and the forward curve as they get down the hill into the right hand. A beautiful corner that right-hander is. And now David Williams making this run to Dunlop. Connery, he's close, but he now just needs to think about making this move, making something happen. You know, it's not a case of David Williams has all the liberties in the world to just throw one down the inside.
Yeah, if he's as close on the instant limit as we think he is, he can't afford to even go off the racing circuit. So he has to make this one clean and clinical, maybe up in towards the education chicane. But the thing is, that is such a risky move to be doing into that tight chicane. I think he's going to have to wait until the run down in towards turn number 1 with the DRS and the ERS to get himself past.
Well, he's closer than he was last lap to Manu Domingo on the brakes into the left-right Vidal chicane, looking for the chance to just get on that power, and he's a lot closer than he was last time. So David Williams, expect a lunge, maybe a defensive move from the driver Manu Domingo. Little bit easier there on the aggression maybe through that corner, David, because he didn't set up the run perfectly. Wasn't brilliant. Defensive line taken then from Manu Domingo. Down on the brakes into the inside. Around the outside will try the driver of Williams, and he's still got half an opportunity if he slings one. And look at that, running incredibly wide, giving too much room there was Manu Domingo. Easy as you want that to go. And look at this, Vanderbosch trying to get on the offensive now as he looks to go for the outside, up and under. Doesn't quite work. Rene had an opportunity. He didn't quite take it though, Johnny.
Yeah, Williams sort of proved me wrong because I was hoping Williams would brake earlier and go for the cutback on Domingo. And I said, why did you brake deep and go wide? And then I saw the pass happen and I said, well, that's why David Williams is going to be in the World Championship and not me. Because brilliant fundamental move by him. Domingo there needs to be a bit more aggressive in terms of defending. He allowed, I mean, you could build a house, couldn't you, between Williams and Domingo there with the space he gave. So I think he needs to trust his spotter a little bit more.
Well, they do say that those who can't race do commentate. I'm pretty sure that's not your case, though, Johnny. I'll say that right now.
That's my line.
Is
also, those that can't defend build a house between them and the car next to him, as Domingo did. Don't worry. You didn't get that? Don't worry.
Well, I believe that the Johnny Simone Profit Book will now be on sale in all good retail stores very, very soon. I tell you what, though, Michael Partington's not done with this. He's brought the gap down to Zelensky down to just 1.6 seconds or so. And Connery, Michael Partington is giving everything now and then some.
Yeah, huge amount of time gained on that last lap, on the order of about 1.1 seconds or thereabouts. So he is absolutely charging at the stage. He knows what is on the line. It could still be in a vein, remember, depending on how the points start to play out. But the thing is, he's just not going to concern himself about that now. He needs this pass just to give himself a chance.
And Johnny, even if he doesn't make this pass, even if he doesn't get into the WCS, we know that Michael Partington has given everything and a bit more in this event.
Yeah, I don't want to toot his horn too much, but he's certainly a World Championship talent. But you know what? You get what you deserve, really. And if he really deserved to get that license, he would have got it. I think the biggest guy that's really missed out is Zoran Jonic, because today he was taken out, no fault of his own. And I think he's the guy I feel sorry for the most, because at the moment, it looks like Diogo Oliveira, Jake, is going to be a 2018 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series license holder. Finally got that out.
Well, you talk about Zoran Joncic's improvement, Connery. He was outside of the top 20 last WCS. He's found the pace, and he's been known for just keeping it out of trouble. The one race he gets into trouble, it goes and bites him as hard as he possibly can, and that's so unlucky for the Orion Race Team machine.
Yeah, exactly. Finishing right at the bottom of the board there. It's just going to be such a huge hit to his points, and as a result, it will put Diogo Oliveira up inside that top 10. But that's just an absolute shame for Joncic, because I know he's very, very quick on his day. But the thing is, none of these race weekends pretty much have been his day, at least in this Pro Series. So, you know, he's got a bit of thinking to do over the next year, and then maybe come back and try again.
Well, that certainly could be the case here. We are now Officially going to be class 10 laps to go when we cross the line. Michael Dinkel leads. The gap now is over 6 seconds here to Sebastian Job. In fact, that gap is now 6.5 seconds. Diogo Oliveira currently in 3rd position and on course for a WCS license at the Last Chance Saloon. Ricardo Orozco in 4th position ahead of Tommy Erstgaard. Bobby Zelensky, though, a man under pressure. The battle, P6, P7 on circuit. There's traffic in front. That's Diego Jimenez they have to deal with in the 26 machine. So now Michael Partington will do his level best to get this 1 position back again. On the brakes, he will now be within 1 second if he doesn't butcher the chicane. Michael Partington is really trying now, Johnny. There's a slowdown as well. And there is just another death knell to go in the coffin.
Yeah, slowdowns are so painful as a driver. You're like, I've slowed down, move on. And then finally the steward say, hey, you can go now. And you've lost more time than you intended to. So hard to manage. If as a driver, I would actually practice slowdowns if I could. You know, practice actually cutting a chicane and then trying to get back onto race speed without losing too much time, because sometimes a slowdown might say, hey, you've got to give up 2 seconds, and you might accidentally give up 3.5 by accident there. So you just have to ensure that you don't overdo it.
Yeah, that certainly has to be the case. We still have this battle, though, between Domingo and Venderbosch. I think David Williams is slowly pulling himself back to Nicholas Rasmussen. The gaps are marginal. In fact, Rasmussen was slightly quicker on that last lap. We'll keep an eye on that one, though, in the last 10 laps. Domingo, though, he's been very astute, though, Connery, in his defense. He hasn't really needed to defend to make a position or to save the position from Venderbosch. And I think that's just a testament to the positive sim racing strategy plays.
Yeah, he's been very good on his defense so far this race, but he's going to have to require that defense at least 1 more time with about 9.5 laps to go for these guys. A little bit of a twitch coming through Dunlop, but not going to concern him too much up through the Michael Schumacher S's. And, well, the gap, the lap time difference did go to René Venderbosch that time by, but it was pretty marginal. It was around about 0.5 of a second that was gained there. So very equal in terms of the pace. I wonder who will come out on top.
Well, that will be very interesting to watch then for the final 10 laps, 9 laps actually, of this final WCS Road to Pro event. Venderbosch then needs a good run out to this section. I just can't help but feeling, Johnny, that he has that vehicle set up for maybe some high downforce, and he just can't get any power coming onto the straights and make any sort of move.
If it is high downforce, the tires will hold up well in these remaining few laps. So let's see how that works out for him. Although I think time's starting to run out. If he couldn't get the move done in the last 10 laps, then now, yeah, that you know when Williams made it past Domingo, that was probably his best chance, wasn't it? To just slot it up the inside and make his way through, and he didn't capitalize on that.
No, he didn't. So he will now be looking to try and find a different opportunity, but that gap is just extending now from Manu Domingo. Domingo is trying to break the spirit of René Venderbosch, and I think this one is going to happen in terms of potentially 1 second could be broken. The moment DRS goes, though, Connery, that's it. We can write this one off, day and done.
Yeah, exactly, but you gotta look at the stint times. There's Venderbosch. He has a couple of laps advantage on the tires over Manu Domingo, but that hasn't really been showing here. As further down the field, there was a pass for position. That was Ronaldo Augusto getting past Stefan Schmidt, and Schmidt is also gonna have to get out of the way of Ricardo Orozco as well. So, and he does so coming into the Mercedes arena. It's been a pretty good run for Stefan Schmidt, not a driver that we're used to seeing in these races. P number 19, 1 lap down. But the thing is, when you consider he started P number 27, I'd say that was a good result.
And he'll get a few sparies for that as well, so he'll be very happy with the result that he's got. So that will always be one thing to keep in mind. But keep a lookout on David Williams. He's brought that gap right back in. His last 2 laps, I believe, have had a difference of just 1,000th of a second. Talk consistency. That's about as consistent as you can possibly get it without matching the times. David Williams now within 0.7 of a second of Nicholas Rasmussen, and with Rasmussen being a tough defender to deal with, this is not the ideal situation for David Williams if he wants to get a top 10 finish, Johnny.
Yeah, but I spoke about this in an article I wrote. Doing the same lap times doesn't necessarily mean you're consistent. The car changes from lap to lap, and there's dirty air you have to play with in certain corners. There's so many different factors that change a racetrack because in iRacing it's simulated so well, it's dynamic. A car changes lap to lap, tires wear out. I don't think necessarily having that close lap times back to back really means you're consistent. It just means your lap times are consistent. So just wanted to point that out, because sometimes drivers will post a stint and take a picture and show all their friends, hey, look at these 20 laps within a tenth of each other. And I'm like, you know, the car probably got a second quicker or something as it got lighter, and it's like, you should be quicker than that. But anyway, here's Williams.
Wow, he's going to go to the outside then of the driver of Nicholas Rasmussen. Rasmussen will defend this all the way for the top 10. Go careful. You can see the double take from the driver of David Williams. He is desperate not to get an incident point there. You can see if he was a little bit more aggressive, he had more liberty with that, Connery, he would have sent that straight down the inside at the second part of the chicane.
Yeah, it has to be oh so careful, and you're completely right. He could have just sent it across the curbs, but the thing is, that would have given him the one incident point that will push him over into being disqualified from this event. So that is a heart-in-mouth moment for David Williams. But the thing is, you know, does he need this position now, Jake? Because is this just for fun now, pretty much?
Well, I don't know for David Williams. I think he wants top 10. I think he's targeting it, but I think he's walking over hot coals at this stage. He has to be so cautious now about the way he attacks Nicholas Rasmussen. And Rasmussen will not take any tomfoolery because, Johnny, we know, we've seen in the likes of the iRacing Grand Prix series, Nicholas Rasmussen can hold off a Davide Corpse. That takes skill.
Yeah, exactly, it does. So Rasmussen is robust, solid. He's a juggernaut in terms of the defensive end, and this racetrack makes it a little bit easier. It complements his style, Jake, because it's so narrow, minimal tarmac runoff areas, difficult to overtake with the short straights.
And there's a little bit of traffic in front. Francisco Diaz, T. Beecham, they've got to negotiate the pair of them at some stage then before the end of the 6 laps that they have remaining when they cross the line. So David Williams will be closer at this stage. We'll look to set the run up then towards turn number 1, but I'm wondering if Rasmussen can collect some DRS off of Francisco Diaz to really use that as a benefit moving forward. You're going to see Williams get close. Will the DRS flap open on the driver of Nicholas Rasmussen? Yes, it will. So he can defend this one into 1. Big lunge down to the inside. Deals with the traffic fantastically. Little bit cautious there, Connery, from Rasmussen, but he knows that he can be cautious because he knows he's not going to catch Montañez in front. He's now just solely thinking about defending. Big dive down to the inside. David Williams with a big one, but look at this. Rasmussen came straight back on the outside.
Yeah, looking to get the run off of 4, and careful not to get an instant point there, and in fact, that's going to be it. David Williams DQ'd.
Wow, David Williams tried for it. He went for broke, and well, he will end up with no chips left coming out to the casino. Big shame there for David Williams, but he's, in a sense, he could have stepped back and waited there, Johnny. He had only but himself to blame, you could say, in that situation.
Yeah. He knows it too, though, because he's aware of that. It's not like it's an anonymous thing. It's not like it's behind the scenes. He's aware of how many incident points he has, but sometimes your driver instincts come into play and you forget that. So David Williams out of the race. Not the best way to end the season, but hey, we're going to see him in the World Championship, hopefully. It's not entirely on the bubble as to whether he'd make it or not, but it'd have to be a very dramatic circumstance if he didn't.
Yeah, it would be a dramatic circumstance, but he's ahead on points on Moritz Lohner, so I guess he should be safer if you think Moritz Lohner has lost points, and he will lose less points than Lohner because he'll be probably at worst 26, and Zoran Jonjic as well, who I think we are calling out of the WCS. But P67, keep an eye on this. Bobby Zelensky is not safe right now. Partington, again, has come back. The gap down 1.4 seconds, Connery. And we've seen it's taken 5 laps now for Partington to get back to where he needs to be. His tyres must be screaming in agony at this stage. The amount of pressure that he's putting on them to try and catch Bobby Zelensky.
Yeah, the only saving grace for him is that those tyres were actually 2 laps fresher than Zelensky's, but the lap times were relatively equal that last time by, so Partington needs to find a little bit more if he's going to have a chance.
Well, he just needs that little bit more. Diogo Oliveira's points, I think, have saved Oliveira. I think it saved ERT with a shot in at the WCS. But Michael Partington now, he needs to start thinking about positions, even if he won't make it through. And when he has 4 laps to go, he knows that he has fought tooth and nail for everything in this event. And Bobby Zelensky, surely it can't be that one step too far. But Michael Partington will push, he will charge, and that gap agonizing over a second. That gap now as they cross the line is under 1 second. Partington now has the advantage here, Johnny.
Yeah, he's getting closer and closer. First corner, not the best way to pass there. The gap's closing, but here's where the rubber starts to kick in, because towards the end of the race, the track is darker. There's more rubber out there. It's more grippier, but offline, all the marbles start to make an overtake much harder, Jake. So that's what Partington has to look out for. By the way, this section they're coming up to now is certainly not an overtaking spot.
Oh, no, it's not. Down the hill into the right-hander. Zelensky so much more astute when it comes to this section. So he's doing a very good job of holding things off together on the brakes. Right-hander, wide line taken from Zelensky, trying to open out the corner on the exit, and does so very nicely. Partington, though, will be having to rely on ERS and DRS, Connery, to make this final move, to get himself into position 6. And arguably, he should be in position number 5 if it hasn't been for some certain circumstances today.
Yeah, definitely. Arguably, Sebastian Job has dropped towards P number 4 because he basically stopped the car on the start-finish straight. What?
Wow. What happened there?
I thought I missed something. I'm like, did I miss this like 10 laps ago? Surely he was never P4, but he is. He's lost an immense amount of time.
Well, there's not many things that I can think about it, and just looking at the nature of just pulling off to the side, it probably could be hardware potentially that we're looking at in that situation then. And it's mad. It's weird. I've never seen anything quite like it. Connery.
Yeah, that is just so confusing. I didn't see him like moving his wheel while he was stationary to try and check if everything was all up and connected and fine. But that's just bizarre. It's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in a series.
It's mad, but it's what it is. So that's going to promote Oliveira up into second position. The lead now for Michael Dinkel with 2 laps to go, Johnny, is over half a minute.
I'm very happy for Michael Dinkel, because 2 years ago, Jake, he blew a race when he should have had here in the Pro Series. And now I think he's going to get what he deserves. An amazing comeback from Michael Dinkel, who we weren't sure was even going to get a license for the World Championship a few weeks ago. He's recovered from, well, I don't want to say recovered, but he's at least bearing through his calf injury that he's sustained. And I think, you know what, this will be a great victory if he can pull it off in the next lap.
Yeah, this will be a very great victory if you can pull it off. We'll keep an eye, though. Partington versus Zelensky going on. This one with 2 and a little bit laps to go for position number 6 out on circuit. This one for all the cookies in the jar for Michael Partington. Closer than he's ever been before, but he needs to now start thinking about trying to make this move, trying to get himself that extra position. And as things stay like this, Partington knows he just wants position number 6 out on circuit. Close, but there's no cigars just yet. He's got to get even more aggressive, Connery.
Yeah, he does. He's got only 2 laps to go to make this one work. And, you know, no matter what the pod situation is at the end, at least he can say he tried if he gets this pass done. But Zelensky, how good is his defense on these final couple of laps? It's a track that really doesn't lend itself to overtaking anywhere else than turn number 1. So he might just be okay if he can fend off the move into 1 and perhaps into 3 as well. So let's just see what happens.
The white flag will fly for Michael Dinkel on home soil. He will be happy in the fact that he has had this race. He's broken the driver of Sebastian Joe, and when Joe pulled off, he guaranteed guaranteed a victory if it wasn't heir apparent already. Bobby Zalenski, though, can he pull away from Michael Partington? And Partington is running out of chances now to go and make this move. Into the left-hander he comes of Bilstein, looking for the right then of Vorsteiner. Not happening right now, needing to get himself a good chase, and he is close, but this is the run that he needs to get then. Out of Ad Van Bogen, the run to Vidal, he will look. On the brakes he goes, and they are nose to tail again. Missed apex, though, from the driver of what is Michael Partington. That's going to cost him on this opportunity, which means it will have to come back to Vidal on the final lap if he wants any chance of taking the position of Bobby Zalenski. We'll have a look into one. The gap between the drivers is just half a second. That's not close enough to make this move. So for Michael Dinkel, we will turn and we will look at this. This is as inspirational as Nicky Lauda's comeback after his horrific burns in the 1970 seasons that he had against James Hunt. This is what Michael Dinkel's done. Torn calf and all, he has fought back for the final 2 rounds. He has fought back to back-to-back podiums, and not only that, he's a race winner in the WCS again. Michael Dinkel wins at the Nürburgring, books a place in the WCS, and it's a long wait going back to Diogo Oliveira in second position, and this drive today has probably secured him a WCS seat if there ever was going to be any doubt. A driver deserving of that moniker. So much experience. Moved to Evolution Racing Team. Little bit of contact there with Scott Bolsa. Little bit of miscommunication. That won't matter though for Oliveira. He'll round the final corner, and I think it's not official, but Diogo Oliveira should have a WCS seat at the table. Eyes though to Michael Partington though, Connery. He's very close.
Very close. It's going to have to be a last-ditch attempt, either up into Vidal or up into the Coca-Cola curve. Look at the closing speed. Down towards the inside he'll go. Does Partington, locks them up, has to escape across the escape road and the grass. He will give back that position, and it's going to be Zalenski taking P number 6.
That was last gasp, and the gasp was far too heavy from Michael Partington. That goes away to the driver of Bobby Zalenski. Tommy Østergaard comes home in 5th position, and I am not sure who is champion, if it's Østergaard or if it's Alex Simpson. We will have to look at that as well from the final results too. This is massive when it comes down to it, because we've had everything up in the air, Johnny, here today, and it has been a sensational race in terms of just how much drama has gone on.
Terrific race in terms of drama, not the best in terms of racecraft, although it's a very tough circuit to pull off some moves. We have seen some good overtakes though today, so let's not take it away from some of the brilliant talent we've seen. But a couple of points and notes before we go through the results, Jake, is it probably is Alex Simpson as the champion. We'll have to get the points in depending on the strength of field for this round, but Alex Simpson probably is taken away from Tommy Østergaard, who's finished 5th. And the other thing is, at the line, Michael Partington slowed down a little bit. Now, he wasn't within 5 seconds or anything, but if there's ever a penalty that will apply post-race, I would try and finish as quick as I can, because we've seen it in many different motorsport series. Drivers will slow down at the line, and let's say they finish 5.5 behind another driver, and that driver gets a 5-second penalty. You never know what might happen, and iRacing, like they've done today, that they you make sure that they I lost what I was saying there.
That's fine. I get completely what you mean. What I think you're looking at is as maybe Michael Partington didn't serve his slowdown before he got to the start-finish line. I think he slowed down enough there, Johnny, to make sure that that happened, to make sure that he kept the position of 7th that he has got him. What we're going to do now, though, is we're going to take official classified results here today from the Nürburgring, the final round of the WCS Road to Pro. And Michael Dinkel has deserved this victory. He proved that he is the most consistent driver out on the field today. He wins by, get this, 36.9 seconds over Diogo Oliveira. Granted, the gap was a lot closer heading to the final few laps. That's a completely different point of contention. Ricardo Orozco comes home in 3rd position ahead of Sebastian Job, who stops with just a few laps to go. Tommy Østergaard, it's debatable whether he's got the championship. I think the answer is no, in 5th position. Bobby Zalenski, great drive from him today. 6th overall, beats out Michael Partington, who had been unlucky, and I think that is the unlucky drive that was brilliant, but it was just not close enough for Partington. Alex Bergeron comes home in 8th position, Jorge Montañez 9th, and Nicholas Rasmussen did a great job of finishing inside the top 10. You look further down onto the second page, the likes of Manu Domingo, Rene Venderbosch, Carl Germanton, the birthday man. The birthday boy gets himself a very nice finish there. 13th, he'll be very pleased with that. Matteo Calistani, Istvan Ballo and his track Campax Gourmet, P15, very happy with that result for him. Carl Winkler, Victor Prato in there, Stefan Schmidt. And you look further down, the likes of drivers laps down, David Williams getting disqualified in the late stages of the event. Jaume Girot struggling, Andrew Adair Saunders struggling today, Alex Simpson out, Moritz Lohner out, Zoran Jonjic, as far as I can see, out of the WCS. But what we're going to do is we're going to step back. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, post-race interviews, and we'll try and see if we can get official classification for what is the final round of the WCS, who's in, who's out, and how it all plays out.
Red Bull GRCs are now available on iRacing. I personally put my blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, developing the cars, the tracks, the dirt, making sure it is authentic as possible, and I really think you guys are going to love it. The best part is that this 600 horsepower Volkswagen Beetle is free to all members. So get signed up now and come race me online.
The yellow flag is out. Pit road is now open. Keep your eye on those gauges. We'll give you 4 tyres. 3, 2, 1, now. We're done. Get going.
Hi, I'm Will Vincent. I'm not allowed to talk on these broadcasts. Back to you, Jake.
Thank you, Will. And you can continue not talking for a little while longer. Fantastic racing that we have had here today. And what a brilliant result it has been for this driver from Apex Racing UK, Michael Dinkel. First of all, how's the leg?
It's okay, but first of all I have to say a big sorry for Michael Parting, because I hit him after my pit stop on the first corner. It turned him around just a little bit. It was my mistake, I was just closing in too quickly. And I have to say a big sorry for him. First of all.
Well, that's first and foremost, but of course a win, home soil as well. Always very nice to do it in front of your fans, we put in inverted commas. But Michael, let's talk about this race, because it was pretty much yourself, a dogfight with Sebastian Job today. and ultimately it came down to who made the least mistakes, and you put yourself out there ahead of anybody else.
A dogfight. Yeah, on the start, I tried to get around Sepp because I know when you are behind someone, your pace can be quite compromised. I couldn't make it work. It would have been also too much risk, you know. I have to catch the points or don't try something stupid, but I had confidence that I can do it sooner or later, and after the 5 laps I realized I can stick to him, so it was not like the races before where I fall back slowly and steadily, and I knew maybe I would catch him by the pit stop, and suddenly he made this mistake on a chicane and I was able to catch him, and from this point I could run my own race, try to make as least as possible mistakes. One happened or 2 happened, and yeah, at the end it was just staying focused. Sepp tried to undercut me, I tried to react instantly, it worked out, and from then on I was just trying to stay on track, keep myself concentrated, pushing, and luckily when no one is racing or Friede or Sepp is not practicing and Rogers is not here, so I'm winning a race finally.
You're winning a race, so you can certainly be happy with that. And the effort that's gone into Apex all season, you've had yourself, you've had Ferric Kern for certain stages of the season, Alex Simpson as well, who we can confirm is the champion of the Road to Pro for 2017-18. Massive congratulations to the team boss, Alex Simpson, on that. But for you yourself, you've had to work harder than anybody else. You've been coming back from injury, you've been testing out, you've been feeling how your leg has been every single time. And it's something that a lot of sim racers don't go through. What sorts of pressures have you had to deal with in these last 3 weeks?
Yeah, prior Imola, you know, did this, you know, and sometimes you do sports and something like this happening because I'm not getting younger. So, okay, it happened. I tried to do it because you put in already practice, but it was way too much pain. I couldn't even put the pedal down, and you know, my leg got better and better, but I still had to do a different braking technique. I tried to adopt it, and it's getting better. One was less at Indianapolis. I struggled a lot still, but nevertheless the race was still very, very good, and the gaps in Indy are very close always. At Nürburgring I went out on the track, I felt okay, it suits me better. I know when I practice with Alex, okay, that getting better. Yeah, and at the end, I can't really say. At the end, I saw what the gaps or what basically happened, but yeah, it was just great, and the leg is getting better and better. So today I would not say so. The leg would have hurted me in any way. So it was just really, really good today.
Well, certainly very good for you. So before we let you go, Michael, any shout outs to sponsors for a fantastic victory here today?
Yeah, what do we have? Sorry, Alex, sorry. Oh no,
Simicube. Say thank you to Simicube.
Oh,
isn't that Inex though, Will?
I don't care. Just say thank you to them anyway.
Yeah, I think it's SDK Gaming.
Yes,
it's the whole team in general, and yeah, was really great. Thanks very much.
Well, no worries. Michael Dinkel doing a fantastic job of things here. Joining Jonathan Simone now here in the commentary booth is a certain Mr. Bobby Zelensky.
Yeah, very happy to be speaking to Bobby. I haven't spoken in a while, have we, Bobby? And actually a great time to be speaking to you because a tremendous result, P6. Do you credit this to maybe the low strength of field, or did you just put in a bit of extra practice for this round?
I really don't know. I think for one of the only times this season I got a good qualifying lap in. That helped. And then I had a really good start and got through all the madness and was just able to defend my position all race. I don't think I had any good speed or anything. I think kind of the guys around us kept kind of making mistakes. And it's funny how things work out. This is by far the least I've prepared for a race for obvious reasons. I'm not in the hunt for top 10. And then it's my best result, so you know, what do you know? But I just wanted to come out here, have fun, and it was a lot of fun. It feels really good to get a finish like this.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to ask was, you've experienced a lot of the oval side, obviously. Roadside now, you've gone in with, I mean, this is probably the highest you've driven in terms of the Grand Prix car, you know, the Pro Series, almost there for the World Championship. But talk about the culture difference between a Grand Prix Series race and an Oval Series race. What's the biggest observations you've noticed?
I don't know. I mean, it's two different worlds, really. I mean, I can't really explain. It's as simple as that. It's a totally different atmosphere and driving style and blah 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 blah. So it's been, for me, it's been kind of like pretty hard to just adapt to everything. I knew going into this it would be very difficult, but yeah, it obviously I wanted to get a top 10 out of the season, but hey, what are you gonna do? Yeah, I don't really know how to answer that question, I guess. I'm sorry, but
it's too hard of a question for you. Moving on. The 2019 World Championship, you gonna make it? You confident? Not arrogant, but are you optimistic?
I'm optimistic, yeah. I mean, I was hoping to make it this year, like I said, but now I get a whole another year to experience the car and get used to everything. I think the biggest thing I need to adjust to is the speed and how just the timing of everything. I think my inputs on braking and all that's right. It's just I'm not very good at timing and putting everything together yet. So I'm gonna spend this. Yeah, I'm gonna go do peak this year. Try to do as best I can in that, and then on the side I'll just practice and do some races here and there in the Formula car and prepare for next season and try to get in then. Yeah, I think it's gonna be top 20 next year, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, I think I'm confident that I'll improve for sure with another year of working on it.
Wait, so just quickly, bonus question: if you're not ready right now for the World Championship, it might be a gift in disguise for you to come back in 2019 even ready and even better and even more ready.
Yeah, I guess like I obviously it would be great to make it just to get that World Championship experience, even though say in the back half of the field. But hey, maybe I can. Yeah, I don't know. I'll just do the best I can this year to prepare, and yeah, gonna go and drive.
Might as well give you a quick moment to give and plug your team, whatever you want to do. Hugs and kisses for your team, and confess your love to everybody that made this Pro Series what it was for you.
Well, I don't got a team running privateer. I give a shout out to some of the Coanda guys. I've been hanging around there a lot. They're good friends.
Oh, hey, there we go.
Helping me out with the spotting and strategy, and I'll tell me when to pit and stuff. They're all good guys over there. Part of the VRS family. That's really about it. I'm just kind of doing this
you don't love
on
me?
my own. Other than that, what?
You don't love me?
Oh, Will, dude, everybody loves you, man.
For a moment, I started crying.
The good news is that there you go, Jake. That was Bobby Zelensky with his, I think, 100 people in that team, personnel, engineers, all his teammates helping him make this Pro Series what it was for him.
Well, that's always been fantastic there. We've seen just how much work has been put in by Bobby Zelensky and everybody back with Bobby Zelensky behind him. Connery, though, you're standing by with Evolution Racing Team's Kid iRacing himself, Alex Bergeron.
Yeah, exactly. Here with Mr. Alex Bergeron, and well, Alex, you're pretty much out of contention coming into this race for getting yourself inside of that top 10. But regardless, it was a very good finish to your season, finishing up in P number 8. So, is that the kind of race result which now carries into other things that you do now? Because of course you don't have a license. So, what are your other plans?
Yeah, like I said last week, we're gonna run some sprint cars and hopefully NASCAR P in the free series. But this race, like Zelensky said, is just that's the least practice I've made for for the race, and had a good result. So I think 2 P8 and 2-8 finishes, like 2-8 position finish in 2 weeks. So it's very good. I could have got maybe 7 or 6, but we made 2 big mistakes, and that cost us a position. But I had to let Michael get the bye because I just want him to get in. So I don't know what's going to happen there, because I definitely don't have a chance, but you could have got a chance. So we'll see here with the result. But it was definitely a blast this season. We would have got better result. If I could have gotten top split the first 2 races, but we're gonna make some better result next year and try to get in.
Yeah, and you might have done just enough for your teammate if what Mr. Sperry in the chat is saying. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that one. But you know, sort of overall in this season, even though you didn't get a license, are you happy with how things went?
But yeah, for sure, we definitely improve on the pace. You know, I just put a little bit more practice into it. Last year in WCS, I didn't have the time at all to to put down the practice with peak and stuff at the same time. So hopefully I can do better next year. But if it definitely was an improvement in this Pro Series, and we're looking forward for next year, hopefully.
Yeah, speaking of next year, if the rule changes are to be correct, then we might have 20 qualifiers from this series going into the WCS series, like we have had previously. So that is going to be a brilliant chance for you to get yourself back into the World Championship Grand Prix series. Of course, you were on the cusp of getting in or out last season. You got P number 20, which is just the cutoff point for getting a license. But you finished, well, before this race started, you were P number 15 in points. We'll see how that one turns out in just a couple of moments' time. But you know, the qualifiers going back up to 20. Surely next year that is going to be Alex Bergeron back in the World Championship Series.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we never know what could happen. I know last year in the Pro Series, I was in second split mode of the season, so that didn't help me a lot. I think I won 2 races, but that was just enough to get in. You know, my rating was not high enough, but you know, this year we made some improvements, and with Evolution Racing team on, I mean, that was a blast. They're all good guys, and they're very fast, so I can improve myself with these guys. Good job on Diogo for second place today. That was very awesome. I mean, he's very quick, so you know, that was a blast. I mean, a couple of top 10s this season, so, and top split with all these fast guys. So yeah, I'm very happy with the season and looking forward, like I said.
Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go for the final round of the season?
Yeah, man, thanks for the guys, you know, Evolution Racing team, you guys, RaceSpot for broadcasting, and the Drill Spill, Marink, Sean Crowder, CrowderCrew.com, and well, that's it.
That is it. And well, Jake, you may have some noise with the may have some news. Sorry, not noise, with the points.
This is massive for the top 10. I put the points down as a tie between Moritz Lohner and Michael Partington. That's how I'm seeing it at the moment. It's not confirmed, it's not guaranteed at all, but I put it as a tie at this stage, which means it would go back, I would believe, Will, if I'm correct, on to best result, which I think Moritz Lohner's top on.
Yes, it will go to, basically, it will go down in simplified. It will go to who won, if no one won, who had a number of P2s, P3s, P4s, P5s, P6s, so on and so forth. So basically, whoever gets the highest position over the course of the season will be in.
Exactly. That's going to be so crucial. And if that is the way that Michael Partington loses a WCS seat, then that is going to be the most heartbreaking way I think you could ever lose it, because he had the chance to make the move. He went for it. He knew he had to on Bobby Zelensky. It didn't quite work out the way it wanted to. And Johnny, is that a testament to the season if you can have the top 10 decided on points difference being negligible?
Yeah, it's definitely heartbreaking, but the logical or rational person would look at it and say, hey, I should have got the job done earlier in the season. I shouldn't leave it to the last round. So you should never look and say, hey, you know, if only I scored that one extra point or whatever. It's so important that you just get the job done early so you don't have to worry about these intense and panicky final rounds.
Yeah, we're just going to very quickly bring in Diogo Oliveira to talk. Diogo, as far as we're concerned, you've got a WCS seat at the table.
He's so happy, he's speechless.
Yeah,
I know. It's fantastic. We'll see if we get on to in just a moment. But Connery, you know, this season has been fantastic. I mean, Alex, let's turn away. Hang on, let's get Diogo here. Diogo, we think you have a WCS seat.
You can do that.
Yes.
Hey guys, and then
I think we're having some technical issues with Diogo here. So what we're going to do is I think we're probably going to save that one for another time. I think that's going to be the best situation. But Connery, you know, let's not forget, Alex Simpson, I think, is the champion as well. Just doing my maths, I think he scored just enough points to get himself over the line in that final race. So I think that will mean that Alex Simpson, despite what happened on the last lap, or the last round, sorry, I think he has been the most consistent driver all season. I think if things stay like they are, I think Alex Simpson is champion.
Yeah, this is all provisional, of course, because we don't know what is going on with the sort of drop week rules that may have been changed in recent times. So we'll just keep an eye on it. Of course, don't take our word for absolutely everything here. We got to wait for iRacing to confirm everything.
Well, Will, am I okay to say this? If we have a change in the rules, if something changes the championship drastically, is it okay to set up an emergency broadcast telling everybody about the WCS and how it all stands?
We've already got one planned.
We've already got one planned. Well, that's fantastic. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to take the curtain. I would like to close it. It's been a fantastic WCS from everybody involved, all the teams, all the drivers. They have put everything on the line to make this their year, their moment. And you can't take away all the efforts of all these drivers who have put in their level best to try and get to the very top. So on that note, I'm going to call this. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. This is the end of our coverage here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. A massive thanks have to go to And Wern Designs, our official graphics partners here at RaceSpotTV, along with AppGeneer and ATVO, our graphics engine here at RaceSpotTV. Special thanks also have to go to Istvan Ballo's Track Cam Packs for Gourmet. Make sure that you check them out and make sure that you get your hands on them. Special thanks also go to Simon Grossman for our animations, and of course Nick Thyssen for our live timing and scoring. Don't forget, we've got so much going on this weekend. We have the likes of the Sports Car Open final. Vendaval could take the clean sweep in the championship at the final round at Interlagos. You also have the likes of the Sim Racing Grand Prix that we have going on. Norway's finest will have a very, very strong battle all the way towards their end of their championship. And of course, there is so much more that you catch up on with RaceSpotTV and other broadcasters as well. So for the time being, that's been Connery Maddock. That has been the man of Jonathan Simone. That's also been Will Vincent behind the camera desk. I have been #DoYouMindJake Sperry, and you can't say anything more about a season that goes down to the proverbial wire. We may be back, we may not be back. We will let you know, however. So make sure you stay tuned and make sure you keep yourself in play, because my goodness, have we got a Royal Rumble coming up if things have changed.